Okay, so fourth topic, DeepPhysX interfacing AI with simulation, and it's soon gonna be here on the big screen as well. Yeah, there you are.
Okay, thanks, Hugo. So here you have a QR code to remind you that the project is open source, so I invite you to wait for yourself. And I also included an image of an interactive demo, so if you want to try it for yourself also, you're welcome. And if you can try it and report some bugs, eventually it will be really helpful. So I will start with a quick reminder of what the DeepPhysX project is, so that everyone can have the key informations about physics. So this is a fully Python framework which aims at interfacing artificial intelligence with numerical simulations. It has three main objectives: to allow users to generate its synthetic data, to do a training session with either a pre-computed dataset or with an online generating dataset. And at the end, the goal is to use the simulations from the networks into the numerical simulation. We split the project in three packages. We have the main package, which implements all the features of DeepPhysX. This package is completely independent from other frameworks. And this main package comes along other plugins package, which ensures the compatibility with other framework. So, for instance, on the AI side, we implemented a plugin for PyTorch, and on the simulation side, of course, for SOFA. So this way, the project is really modular and it's potentially compatible with any framework, AI framework or simulation framework. So about the last STC, I did a presentation about, I introduced the component architecture, the link between those packages, and I also explained the data flow between those components. I also explain the client-server architecture that we use to produce our data with several instances of simulation in multiprocessing. And finally, I also did show how to use the framework, which is quite easy as well. So about the last roadmap, you see that maybe we have been a little bit too much enthusiastic because we did not have time to tackle the reinforcement learning issue. But at least we succeed to converge and to a stable version to release the project. So I will go through the first 3 points in a few words because this is not really a technical subject, but I will talk more about SQL database next. So I report the QR code if you want, but so you have the GitHub repository and the Mimesis team. So here is a few bullet points to list what I had to achieve before to be able to release the project. So converging to a stable version of the code, which involved a lot of unit tests, because there was a lot of way to use the framework. I added also some additional small features, like extended the datasets with any field that you want, multi-window rendering, because I don't say that, but DeepPhysX comes with a visualization tool so that you can see your simulation during your data generation. And as we are using several instances of simulation in parallel, it was easier to render them in several sub-windows. And I also managed the installation process with Split, which is a Python installer package. I also wrote a documentation with read the docs, so it took me much more time than I expected, but yeah, the much longer was the documentation typing, but I also spent a lot of time formatting the doc strings so that the API will be automatically rendered in the page.
For the installation of Pip, how do you do it? Because you don't know how the user installed so far.
Yeah.
Is it an issue or what?
So we have several repositories on GitHub for each package. You only have to clone or to download the main package. From this package, you can do your own configuration. Like in SOFA, you can specify which plugins you want. And after that, you do your pip install, and then the plugins that you want to install are automatically cloned and installed along the so that you have only one installation, which is called DeepPhysX, and in this installation, you always have the main package, and you also have the plugins that you wanted to have.
Okay. And it's working on system?
At least for Linux and Windows. I don't have the opportunity to try on macOS. Alban, when PhD tried, and apparently it is working. So, yes. But as it is Python, so the documentation is not enough. So you have to also add examples when you release the project. And I wanted to deliver 3 levels of guiding in every package. So I wanted to add some tutorials just to discover the framework and the features. I implemented a really small example, which is a really fast session that you can launch to try for yourself. And I also included some demos so that you can see higher level of applications, and also to illustrate what we are working on in the team. So finally, per package, in the main one, we have 1 tutorial, 1 example, 3 demos, same thing in SOFA package, and for PyTorch package, we have only 1 tutorial per network because we only have to learn how to configure the network. And so providing demos also involves sharing a lot of data, a huge amount of data. So it involves training data sets, and also trained networks and some other materials. And all this data are hosted in the RIA instance of Dataverse. And I also automated the development so that you only have to launch the demo script, and the data is automatically. So now I will switch to the more technical parts of the SQL database. We have 2 schemes. Here in red, you can see the actual data flow, which is quite higher architectural, which is very hierarchical. And we want to switch to this kind of data flow process with a central database. So this way, the data flow will be so more flexible, because components will have direct access to the database in reading and writing, and they don't have to go through the managers before doing some actions. It will be more simple also, and the most important point is that it will be more customizable. It means that you can add any type and any number of inputs, output, predictions, loss data that you want in the database. And this will be really helpful for other applications, because today we are only working with 1 input tensor and 1 output tensor. And doing this kind of database will be really helpful, because it will be really easy to add the training data that you want.
So how do you manage the communication?
Sorry?
The communication.
Between those components?
Yeah, between managers and network data sets.
This is not a part that we already. This is only a proof of concept now. We implemented a proof of concept. We don't have worked yet on the communication between the components, but yes, it leading to my points about more efficient, because now the updates in tables will trigger actions directly in the components. So this is something we want to implement.
Where SOFA launcher, where do you plan to SOFA launcher and this?
SOFA launcher will happen before. So at the beginning of your session, you will launch several simulations, and after that, they will communicate with the database.
It's basically on the left, right hand side. Sorry.
Yeah, basically yes. You have maybe the SOFA launcher on the right, which is launching the simulations, and after that, the simulations are connecting to the database. So yes, as I said, currently it is only a proof of concept. So we have some kind of standalone version, and we want now to introduce that in DeepPhysX. Actually, we have two databases. The first one is for the training data, which includes input, run-throughs, prediction, and loss tables. And the other one is for visualization data. So this is for our visualization tool. So it involves all visual objects. And let's finish with a quick example to see how it will work. So take the example of a simulation where a user wants to define his training data. So he just has to put his input tensor. He can set the labels of the training data, and then the database is automatically created from these informations. And on the other hand, if you want to add a mesh, it just gives all the information about this visual object, and then all the data are automatically sorted in the database. So currently it is a proof of concept. It is working pretty well. So the next step is to include it in the physics process.
I see that you are always talking about generating the database, but when you are working with something where you already have database, how do you?
It's a good question. This is not something we've done yet, but yeah, because today we are able to, of course, to load pre-computed datasets, and this is something that we want to keep, of course. And yeah, we don't have enough time to explore this possibility, but yes, we will think about it. And finally, these are at least a few topics that I think might be interesting to work on for the next 6 months. So first of all, finish this work on replacing the actual data flow with the SQL database. And this way it will be easier to tackle the two next issues. So the first one is to ensure the compatibility with different training data formats. So I take the example of graph neural network because this is something that will be used in the team. And also a compatible version with reinforcement learning. And finally, for the two last points, I wanted to maybe make the project a little bit more modular, so that user can choose the AI package he can use, and also the visualization library, because I'm a big fan of Vedo. This is the library that we are using, but it is quite a scientific rendering. It is not really.
What packages do you have at the moment for AI? You see
PyTorch.
PyTorch, and you would like to add TensorFlow, right?
Yeah. We started to work on that with Sorab, which was a doctorant in PhD students, sorry, in Luxembourg. Yeah.
Like a track maybe to follow as well could be to see how much interest it would raise to have SOFA connected to scikit-learn. I don't know how many of the algorithms of scikit-learn could be of interest in the community, but I'm just thinking like a bridge between again two INOIA softwares, if it makes sense, could also like help having engineering support from INOIA for that kind of things.
So not only TensorFlow but also scikit-learn.
I mean, yeah, could be worth asking Stéphane and others, maybe Alban, if they know, if they looked in it. If they don't, they should look in it in the library, so that we know if it makes sense or not. But to at least have taken a look at scikit-learn.
Yeah, but what I mean with adding packages is the more we have, the more attractive it is.
But yeah,
And that's it.
I think it's on a, I would say on a trademark in RIA sense, it makes sense to have both technologies coupled instead of saying, yeah, we are providing TensorFlow and so far. So, I do understand why, and I do understand why PyTorch and so on, but it makes sense as well. At least to investigate, and if you can just keep that in mind. And the other one, reinforcement learning, it would be also the point. That's the two key points. That's cool. Is there any question for Romain? So there have been already from Jonas during the presentation. Is there any other question you'd have? If some of you sometime need a coffee, obviously you can grab one. I know the post-lunch can be.
Yeah, I think we have to discuss with the team. I said before, for at least for the how to put for the plan we are talking about. I think SOFA GUI think about this and some points we see here. For me, it's very important. I'm thinking it's better to discuss and see really to have at least the same film or something like that. Then when someone wants to use machine learning in SOFA or something like that, they can know that I don't need to learn DeepPhysX after I have to learn SOFA GUI.
Yeah, no, that's the purpose of what we said a bit earlier. That on this topic of AI, but there have been a discussion some time ago. It was with both Pierre and Etienne, who was starting the PhD. Now it's really more Etienne, which is managing that. And
the new engineer in CRS. That will
okay. Yeah.
So we can when it will start, we can put you in contact.
Yeah,
I agree that if we manage to that there is a similarity in the way it's organized.
And I know that Daniel was involved in the SOFA GUI beginning for the design. At that time, Pierre has the new program before doing the things.
Yeah, I don't know if you have the same problem but I don't think.
No, I don't think they.
So one of the things we wanted to do with SOFA GUI that is really difficult in SOFA is to you start a simulation. At some point you want to stop because you have a branch. You want to explore two possibilities, and so you explore one possibility, but you want to go back there at the same state and restart the simulation in this state.
This is not something that we.
Is that going to be the case with the GNN? I don't know at all the graph.
Because
I don't think in the application that we are currently doing.
Okay.
But, maybe yes.
We could rediscuss that as well because.
Or I think I'm pretty sure that for Valentina it would be useful to have some stuff like that.
But for me, Valentina, it's like SOFA GUI.
Yeah.
I mean, what she's aiming at is exactly that. If her work with you can be the opportunity to merge everything in one framework, it will utilize the exact same limitations of SOFA, which are the restart of a simulation from a given state. I think that. So I'm a bit disappointed. There was a list of topics, technical topics that we submitted.
Yeah, it's true that I forgot this.
There is the updates process in SOFA, basically because it's related to the update process, how you store information within components and how you make sure that you can restart from this state. As soon as everything is valid, you can restart from there. It implies a lot of things, basically, to do that in SOFA.
But I think you are able to do that.
Like with a machete.
We found a hack solution.
The os.org.
Which is not.
I don't know if we can advise people to do that, but
No, but I answered your call, about the technical topic. But when you are like in face of this, you are.
I can resubmit it to you. If you
no, but for instance, if this type of topic,
it's hard to.
I didn't think of it, but I think it's an important topic.
I do think so.
It's not normal that we cannot restart SOFA. We cannot stop SOFA at a certain configuration of the simulation and say, okay, I want to restart, reload the scene. It's something we should be able to do.
I added it in the list of the.
And for many, there are many situations where people, there is a bug that appears at time 35 with very long iteration. It would be it would be really easy if people could just restart at iteration 34.
Is there anything which is multi-threaded here? Because I was thinking in the phase of the training.
Not in the phase of the training, but in the phase of data generation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, sorry, but I wanted to say that. Yeah. So that is parallelized.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was already parallelized in the previous STC.
Okay. Okay. Just
this is not
something new.
I did during the master's.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, you have your there is the list of technical points, and I think definitely in those, or there is two things that there is one I did not wrote here. So it's the connection with the guys in lead, and the second one would be possible connection with connection with scikit-learn, and with the does it make sense, and the question mark. Does it make sense? Okay, thanks a lot. Either any other question? Thanks a lot. Who's next? Allez, Erika. Do you want us to present, right? I get it somewhere here. There we are. Partager.
Just speak about the last development, last STC.
N'hésite pas à parler fort pour la caméra.
So this was the topology roadmap we decided last STC 12. So basically in red, it's point that I didn't have time to address. Orange, some point I just did a few developments, so I didn't have a lot of time to develop, continue the new architecture of a topical change. The idea is just to say that we set up a collection for geometry and topology methods. So at the end, it will replace the components we can really see in a scene or have triangle, set geometry, algorithm, or instead of using a component, we will move all the methods inside the collection. So it will be a statics method, for example, to compute the normal of a triangle or the length of an edge, etc. Which is a long process, I would say. Then regarding the real architecture of topological change, I just did some few pull requests to remove totally the need of creating a topology handler inside components where you want to be able to follow the topology change. I will give an example just on the slide after.
This right?
Yes,
that's what you want. Okay.
And last thing in the point 3b, just to mention that there was also some pull request to fix some components that now should properly handle the topological change. So there is the uniform mass. There was a bug created recently. And there was also inside the SPH plugin all the particle source and particle sink were not updated. So now.
Another advantage of taking care of the community and helping them, it's that this bug, which was really like uniform mass wasn't properly supporting topological changes, that's through the SPH plugin that someone was using that we detected that, so that's quite useful.
Yeah. So, next step. So this is more for the record, I would say. Just quickly, now the final design when you want to to have a component that follows topological change. So let's say, for example, you have a component that puts springs on each edge. So inside this component, you will create what we call edge data, which in fact is a vector of an information. So for example, if you just want to store the length of each edge, it would be just a vector of float or number. But if you need more information, you can create a class and give an edge information class. And so in the first square, you can see what you need to do inside your component at init stage. So basically, you connect your edge data with the good topology, pointer to the good topology. So using the method create topology handler. So this will register this data, and automatically this data will follow any event linked to edge. So for example, if an edge is added or removed, it will call the default constructor or destructor of path information. And then at the init stage, you also need to resize that to the good size. So basically, yes, it's a number of pages. Then, if you have a more complex case, let's say, for example, this time, let's say you want to store the length of each edge inside this data. Basically, when you create one new edge information, you just need to compute the length between the point 0 and 1 of this edge. And so you have to do that using a callback. So inside your component, you just create a callback on the event creation, and then you can set what you want. And you have to set up callback for each different events you want to handle. So for example, destruction, if you do. And in the last case, if also you want to follow events from other type of topology, so let's say your springs are depending on the triangles on the edge. So you can add some callbacks, for example, triangle removed or triangle added events. So for example, when a triangle is removed, you can reduce the number of the weight of each spring if it's depending on the length. So this is basically the only method you need to put inside your component to follow a topological change now. And also, I wanted to mention a special case, which is topology subset. In fact, you have topology data, so this is the same size as a topology buffer. And you also have topology subset data, which is the same but with a subset, so you just need to put also a map, so you know which component, which indices are triggered. And there is a special case, which is topology subset indices, where in fact it's just handling a set of indices. So this is a case, for example, for fixed constraint, when you want, for example, to fix point number 0 and 1. So you just need to create this data. You will link it to the topology, and automatically it will follow the event on point remove, point added. And there's a last option to support new topology elements. If you set to true, any new points will be automatically fixed. And by default, it's true. Okay. So this was just for topology. So now I'll just quickly speak about other development I did. The next slide, just to mention that there were several pull requests on triangle FEM force field. So just for the status, right now in SOFA, there is at least three main different components: triangle, triangular, and triangular FM team. So the first one was triangle FM force field, and then there was a triangular, which should be exactly the same, but supporting topological change. And over the different years, they were diverging. So right now, triangle.
It makes me think that it's another good example of not having multiple implementation of the same code without. Yeah.
So right now, I fixed the behavior of triangular FM force field. So you can see on the bottom right, there should be three colors, and so the red and the green are totally the same. And just to mention, there's also a version that is Optim. So this one, as it said, it's really an optimization.
What's the difference between the green and the blue?
So what's the optimization?
The optimization is it's faster. So it's on the. No, I mean it's a simplification because we know that we are working on a triangle, so all the computation are done in a 2D. Inside the plan. But there is a small divergence.
Because you don't suppose that you're done with them.
No, they are flat.
Yeah, it's
Flat.
that's linear triangle.
Yeah,
so
linear.
they are anyway they cannot bend.
So I did several requests to clean and get the same behavior. The next step is to merge triangle and triangle FM to keep on one. Okay. Then next slide is exactly the same for tetrahedron.
Ah, cool.
But for the moment I just did some benchmark and cleaning. There is still a lot of work to do to merge tetrahedron and tetrahedron quotation for 3.
Okay. And on the accuracy and performances, without there is an optim. Okay, no, forget it.
So normally you should have
fast and
tetrahedron FM force field and tetrahedral quotation FM force field should be exactly the same. Same behavior and normally same performance. The only difference is the structure of data.
Okay.
So there's small difference between because you access a vector of data or instead of a vector of data. Yeah. But the fast tetrahedral quotation force field, sorry, it's only in large displacements, but it's 4 or 5 times faster.
Do you remember where does also the acceleration come from, or?
Basically, it doesn't just do the. I mean, it's not matrix calculus. It's just computing just a few elements you need in your matrix, and so that's why it's only supporting the large displacement.
Okay.
And I think there is more than that, but normally the behavior is exactly the same for large. Okay. And also work on to be able to use SOFA GUI, so the open source plugin of SOFA GUI. The status that there are a lot of components which are not anymore working. We also restore hexagonal version. And also the big issue is that you have several FEM components that have good performance, but you are not able to do collision detection in GPU, and you can't use the CPU version coupled with the GPU FEM. So basically, right now, using SOFA GUI, you can only simulate some nice beams. That's it. Just next slide, I'm just showing the.
Because it's not implemented, or
it's not in the open source plugin at least.
okay.
And the compatibility between CPU and GPU is not there. This is more a problem of implementation of complex. So it's not that easy.
I know that sometimes we forget. We are talking about this kind of thing.
Are you wondering if Insimo is working on that, or?
I know that sometimes we talk about that, but
No, they are mostly looking at multi-threading, not really GPU computing.
okay.
Just this slide is just to tell you that now in SOFA GUI there's a directory named Sense benchmark where we put all the different benchmark of beams simulated by the tetrahedron or hexagon at different size, and this is just time computation for 1,000 steps, just to show you that there's a huge difference between the CPU and GPU version. CPU are
It measures everything here in the simulation, or just
yes, it's just
force
launching
or
1,000 steps of simulation.
mill simulation? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there's it's only seen with film. There's
Yeah.
there is a mass.
Could be interesting. Okay. I was thinking about the comparison for this. It's on. It's the
Yeah, I
software.
guess here you use conjugate gradient.
That's written here. It's the name of the scenes, or
maybe not in this one.
is that the name of the scene that you are? Okay, so maybe we can just take a look at the SOFA.
No, but normally I think it's more the CPU because there's another directory which is named CPU GPU validation, and in this one I think there is some example with direct. And yeah, very quickly last points. So I've been involved in 2 plugins linked to haptic devices. So the first one is SOFA Haptic Avatar. I already spoke about it last STC. So now the plugin is open source. It is hosted inside the framework on GitHub. And it's compatible with SOFA, the last release of SOFA. It supports multiple tools, and there is several demos inside the repository. Simple demos. The next step will be to add more and more. Then there's another plugin coming, which is SOFA Apply Robotics, which is another haptic device. A bit similar to the Geomagic Touch. So so for the moment it's in development. It will be open source soon.
You have it?
Yes.
And is it? How is it?
It's recorded.
Okay.
No, it's similar to Geomagic Touch. I would say the resistance is lower. But, yeah, it's different. The main, I think, the advantage of this haptic device is that you can change very easily the tip. You can use a pen, you can use a Bluetooth VR controller or any controllers. And you can easily also put different devices as a parallel.
Is it cheaper?
I think so. But I'm sure.
All these programs are compatible with the old.
This is not.
No, not this program. This one.
You mean that here?
Yeah.
That's.
Is it compatible with the Geomagic tool we have?
It's a different tool. It's the one you see on the picture. It's a totally different plugin.
It's another haptic device.
I mean, yes, it's using also using the LCP for feedback.
But I just want to know if this plugin can we use it with, like one we have at the first? No, Geomagic. The old one.
It's really plugins that are building the interface between a haptic device, which is this one here, and a second one here, and
So
it's like another Geomagic
device. Or
No. Each plugin is linked to the specific haptic device. So, for example, in SOFA you have the Geomagic. It's using OpenHaptics for the API. The first one with haptic avatar. Haptics avatar. It's using its own C communication USB, and this one is using a C# communication.
the old one is still used on the.
But you still have the Geomagic plugin in SOFA, which was Geomagic.
But I know that sometimes we talk about to clean it to be.
It's clean now.
Okay.
No, the Geomagic is working. Yeah, it was more linked to the LCP.
And in terms of force magnitude,
comparable with geometry?
Comparable with geometry, a bit lower. In fact, it's difficult to compare with the geometric because you see the small tips. There's a
I don't really get the kinematics, so it's a pantograph, but what do you have at the base?
in fact, you see the two
So they
parallels are
rotate with each
moving like
other.
this
Uh-huh.
on the Z-axis, around the Z-axis. And then you have like
A pantograph, which
pantograph that
is
is
two
moving
additional.
all around.
Okay, and then you have a
And-
gimbal at the end,
Yes,
right?
the problem with the gimbal, as you are saying, is that it's fixed with magnets.
Mhm.
And so as soon as you have a big constraint, the magnet just.
Oh.
But I think it's just a problem of construction of the tip.
So it's essentially 6 delta tracking and 3 delta force feedback.
And for the moment, you don't have the
Yeah,
orientation information.
because as I said, the tip it's just a magnet, so you don't have the orientation of the.
Oh, so
I-
you
I
don't
can-
start here.
For this
this
version, yes.
Okay, but they intend to
Yes.
okay. Maybe
It's a quite new device.
Okay.
It's, I'm like a beta tester for them.
do you plan?
Yes.
Do you plan to so if there is an update, I guess you're gonna charge them for the
It's totally open source.
yeah okay.
It's,
Okay, I'm passing the next slides, and maybe it's the last. Or
Yes, the conclusion, just to say that I'm going to continue to work on topology and geometry, but it will be really linked to the different projects that will come. So I'm not sure I will be able to do a lot of architecture change in SOFA. Continue working on the different Aptic plugin for you and as I said, I want to merge the different FEM.
And that's things that you wanna do really for the next 6 months, or it's like you keep them as open topics, and if you have time, you're gonna work on it, and if not,
it's more if I have time.
okay. And
I'm self-working out.
okay. But maybe an important aspect in what Eric said is it's the fact that really having topological changes or your components compatible to topological changes is possible. The API is now way simpler than before. It was what was shown before here. And if you are unsure, so first there's going to be some documentation sometime coming. Right?
It's still in the last slide.
But yeah, I think it's an important point to have documentation here, but it's also an important point to dare using it. Just if you want to have that, just start it yourself and ask for help as soon as.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a short question. If I am to implement topological propagation of topological changes, let's say we have a visual model and a mechanical model, and we delete or add something in the mechanical model and want to propagate that changes to other models, what would be the proper way to do it now?
The proper way is that in your scene you will have, for example, let's say we work on triangles, you will have a triangle container, so you have all the buffers of topology, and you have also a triangle modifier.
Mhm.
And in this component you have several methods which you use. Basically it's add triangle, remove triangle.
Yeah, but then we need to, for instance, if we add something from the mechanical model that is on the surface, that is part of the surface mesh of the mechanical model.
Yes.
And we need to basically remove every triangle that is associated with that. How do we check for this subset of triangles that are attached?
To find the triangles you want to remove, this is more on your side. You have to make, for example,
Oh, can we check it, like retrieve it from barycentric mapping, for instance?
Yes, depends on your case, but let's say, for example, you want to remove every triangle that are far from one point. You can compute the distance, get all the triangles, and then when you have the different IDs of the triangle you want to remove, you just need to call the method triangle remove with the list of and then it propagates to all the things. So it will update chemical objects,
Mm.
the topologies, visual model, etc.
Is there any chance that something goes wrong if we don't delete triangles that are associated with the deleted element? Using, like, for instance, once again, barocentric mapping, we have a bunch of triangles that are associated with one tetrahedron, and we delete that tetrahedron.
It's important you remove elements that are in the topology, not removing elements that are out of bound. But anyway, there's some checks on the.
Yeah, well, what I mean is, I guess, I'll try to explain it. Yeah,
you can see what
And yeah, maybe we'll see if we keep your, I mean, all the topics you listed on the roadmap. Not it's like no offense, right? It's just to say if you're like not really sure to address those topics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we said that like on one of the major topics of the roadmap, or if we put that as side project that could progress or not depending on the time that you have.
Also, Aptic and FEM is a side project, but it's not.
You mean Aptics and FEM, right?
Yes, it's
okay.
not mandatory. Everything is working right now.
Oh, yeah,
Just
yeah.
that it's cleaning.
Okay.
I mean, FEM is cleaning. Aptics is more my project with more so far. Both are open source. Topology, as I said, I will add when I encounter the problem. So.
Yeah, all right. And I'm just thinking that, just like the SOFA Origami plugin, I think I'm not sure we do have the Apply plugin. Do we have it on the marketplace already, or?
No, because it's not released.
Okay, you let me know when it's ready as well. All right, cool. Perfect. And last of the six, the topic of the matrices. So you're gonna be presenting. Are you sharing? Yeah, you can share your screen, right? Guillaume will give you the. Yeah, there you are.
C'est moi qui gère ça.
I have nothing on the side from you.
Yeah,
I am only this.
Je sais pas appuyer sur le
il faut cliquer sur la fenêtre. C'est bon.
Just waiting here. Hopefully,
c'est du lourd. C'est du lourd. Ça, it's loading, so they are all. So I get it also on my end. So for people online, it's already loaded, but it's gonna come soon here.
Very soon. Tu n'oublies pas d'enregistrer.
It is recording. It's really weird. It's when he's losing when he's losing the hand, this account seems to like. I guess for you guys, if you are connected, you can already see the slides. Okay. Maybe just an intro for I don't know if you have you already met Alex, maybe at the previous SOFA week?
Probably not.
No? Okay.
At least we didn't talk.
So that's one of the major one of the main topics currently going on in the core of SOFA, which is format matrices inside SOFA. For instance, I don't know if it would have been or if it would be already of interest for you, as how to access stiffness matrices, mass matrices, the system matrices, and therefore it's connected to the work of that Stefan mentioned previously, the linear solving of the linear problem. That's supposed to have your system assembled and so on. That's one of the main topics going on. So yeah, I think we can get started now. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Hi again. So I'm gonna talk about matrices in SOFA. So basically, I'm going to talk about what is coming in the next release and the one just after the next one. So a quick reminder on matrices. You don't care about the math here. Sorry. It's just to show you that there are some matrices that we are manipulating in a simulation. We have M, the mass matrix, B and K, the stiffness matrix, and all together they form the system matrix with X the unknown of the linear system and B the right hand side. So all of those matrices are of some interest for some people, and they want to access them. So this is an example of a matrix in a simple simulation with 5 cubes, deformable cubes. So you see that here we have assembled the matrix so that each of the cube are on a diagonal block of the matrix, and if we want, we can couple objects together, and there will be some elements out of the diagonal. So this is just to show you that how we assemble matrix, the system matrix in SOFA. So there are two ways to deal with matrices. The matrix-free way. So in this case, we don't assemble the matrix actually, and the other way is to explicitly assemble the matrix. So I will mostly focus on this category of simulation. And as a reminder, the SOFA components that are contributing to the matrix are mainly force fields, mass, and projective constraints. So the features that are coming in SOFA V2206 are the following. So we have a SOFA matrix plugin that is activated by default now, but it's a plugin, so you can deactivate it if you want. And there are some tools to manipulate matrices in this plugin. You have the matrix exporter, which exports the system matrix in different formats. So basically text, CSV, image, and so it's not a problem to add more if necessary. You have the matrix image component, so you have an example on the image here. It's a component to visualize the system matrix inside the Qt interface. That's quite useful to debug a simulation. And you have the same features for the compliance matrix. You also have Python bindings. So if you want to access the matrix from the linear solver, it is possible. So here it is an example. You declare a sparse LDL solver, or at least a solver that assembles a matrix, and you can access the matrix with a Python function.
And what is the format of the matrix?
And you get a SciPy sparse matrix. You can do what you want with SciPy matrix. And of course, you can also get the solution of the system and the right-hand side if you want. You can also access the matrix of a force field or a mass. With this example here, we declare an hexahedron Fm force field, and then we call the assemble K matrix. And similarly, it's a SciPy sparse matrix.
This comes from recent pull request, right?
Yes, it's not yet merged.
Okay.
So it is in the SOFA Python 3 plugin. And it's a pending pull request, so any feedback is welcome. So in a few minutes, I will talk about a new API. So this guy is dealing with the old API. So that's why it will come in the next release. A quick word about fill-in reducing. We worked a bit to implement strategies to reduce fill-in in the matrices. So in the SOFA matrix plugin, there is an engine component to reorganize the topology so that in the end you can reduce the fill-in, and the linear solver won't have to use any fill-in reducing method. But we also implemented with Stefan several fill-in reducing strategies in all the sparse solvers. So previously, there were only fill-in reducing strategies in sparse LDL solver, but now they are all available also in sparse LU and sparse Cholesky. Going to talk about, so that was for the next release, so coming in June. What I'm going to talk about is planned for the release in December. But most of the work is already done. Yeah. One important feature that was asked is to map matrices. So when you have a mapping and you have, I don't know, force fields acting on a mapped object, they were not taken into account in the matrix when the matrix was assembled. So this is not the case in the next release. So to do that automatically, because previously we had to use a trick based on a component called mechanical matrix mapper. So we had to manually modify the scene, but now to do it automatically, we rely on the mapping graph. So this is basically data structure that knows the relationship between mechanical objects and mappings, and also so the force fields, masses, and to which mechanical object they are associated to. So basically here on the example, you see that this guy is mapped to two other mechanical objects. So you can get this information from the mapping graph, but also you have a force field associated to this object here, and you can follow actually the links, and you can know that this force field will have to write or at least contribute to this part of the matrix. Also this one, but also on the coupling between the two mechanical objects. Yeah, because this mechanical object is mapped to two other mechanical objects. And because of that, there is a coupling. All right?
For instance, in the case of Cosra, you have two mechanical states, G-base, then which will be what the state 1, and state 2 will be the strain. And then you have the mechanical state 3 that will be all the rigid frames on the Cosra.
The coupling is not very direct.
There is a coupling between the two.
There is a coupling, but it's not direct. Like when you have both are in SOFA.
But when you say coupling, is because the matrix. When you look at the matrix, there is not only two blocks on the diagonal, but there are some blocks that appears on the.
Yes.
Think of rigid completion.
It's
like the rigid part is attached to the coupling to the soft part.
For the rigid case, it's more clear.
But for Cosra, the same. When you put an external force, for instance, at the last frame, it creates deformation in all the view, but it creates also a torque.
In any case, this data structure helps to identify where in the matrix a force field or a mass will add its contribution. Next important feature, we mentioned it this morning, is the geometric stiffness from nonlinear mappings.
Then it's more about application of implementation, or you have some kind of taking into account some mechanical properties between the mechanical matrix mapper and what you are doing.
So this is a replacement for adding manually mechanical matrix mappers.
Okay.
So this is because if you get a matrix, if you have a matrix-free simulation with a conjugate gradient, for example, you don't have to have a mechanical matrix mapper in your sim. It's working. But with an assembled system, it did not work because the contributions from mapped objects were not added into the matrix. That's why you needed a mechanical matrix mapper.
But I don't, when you're talking about manual, I don't really see what's manual. But you are adding this component, right? I know that when you have like 3 or 2, like you have M state 3 and M state 4 who are related to you have to remove some part of the matrices.
Yeah, but this will be done automatically. The component of you don't have to have any matrix mapper anymore.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So I'm taking this opportunity to say that mechanical matrix mapper will be deprecated.
No matter how great it is.
So it will be deprecated not in this release, I guess, because all what you're presenting here will arrive in the in 6 months, right?
In the December release.
December release, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So starting from the 2012, it will be deprecated.
It will be done automatically. You will not have to deal with that.
I'm sorry?
It's too aggressive for us.
No, it will be done smoothly and no worries. We'll send you some postcards with a mechanical matrix mapper on it. And,
That's so great.
remember, it was the good old times. Go ahead.
Is it okay for the mapped matrices? This is another component that will disappear. Okay, so nonlinear mappings can bring contribution to the system matrix. It's called geometric stiffness. And again, this didn't work with assembled systems. So I made it work with an API for mappings. And so to make it work previously, we also had another component, I don't remember the name, geometric stiffness force field. Yes. So
it was provided by Simo, by François Jean.
Okay. So this is going to disappear as well because it will be handled automatically. Yeah. So it will contribute the same way than force fields and masses. Another important point is that now linear system and linear solver will be uncoupled. I just follow the single responsibility principle, and now the linear system class will take care of storing and assemble the linear system, and the linear solver really does what it says. It just solves the system. It does not assemble it. So this is really useful to implement several methods to assemble a matrix. So for example, I have a method which is very generic, but I have another method that benefits from the constant sparsity pattern of the matrix, so that the assembly can be accelerated. It also allows to assemble multiple matrices. So for example, there are some cases where we need to assemble A to solve it, but we also need to assemble K, the global stiffness matrix. So that is also possible. And finally, the API, the C++ API will change. It will break most of the force field, no, all the force fields and masses.
Do not lie.
No. I'm honest here. So it will break everything. But the replacement will not be so different. It will actually be simpler. So we won't have any offset. We won't have to deal with the factor. There is a factor coming from the ODE that you have to multiply each entry. And the components will not have a direct access to the matrix. So stiffness, a force field will not be able to break everything in the matrix. if he wants. Again, it will be available in probably in December. It is up. The work is mainly done, so it will be available during summer, in my opinion.
And there maybe your feedback, if you're on the master branch, will be most valuable to. I mean, we thank you in advance for bleeding for the community, but yeah, it will be useful to actually move to the new API. I think also after the summer, it will be maybe there will be a part of the work that will be to update most of the SOFA force field.
Yeah, yeah.
This I mean, we could definitely do that all together, since I think it's going to be pretty easy to do.
The main ones are done.
Okay,
of course,
okay.
But
maybe some remainings.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess with the transition, with the SOFA deprecate stuff or.
So yeah, the two components that I mentioned will be deprecated, meaning that. So for now, I removed everything, but just added a deprecation
layer.
Yes. Right. I also wanted to show you the new GUI that we mentioned this morning. So this is a project that I worked on. So this is a window coming from GLFW, and on top of that you have a UI based on Dear IAM GUI. So just let me show you the repository. This is this guy. So it's supported by Blizzard, Google, etc. So this is a good choice. So you have the scene graph. You have basically the main features from Run SOFA. So you can double click on a component. You have so this is work in progress, and all the windows are dockable. You can put it here. You have also some windows, useful windows, profiler. So you don't see the snake moving, but it is moving. The profiler with the same feature than in Run SOFA.
And colors.
And colors and icons and with a dark theme.
It's important.
Wait.
Mouse interactions.
So I don't know. I don't know. Here you can interact with the mouse.
Can you grab?
No, not yet. So you don't have any interactor like in Run SOFA. For now.
You can't remove the snake from the policies.
No.
There is a remark from Frederic. Actually, it can be run with Run SOFA -G ENG.
Yes. So this is the command line here.
How's it going to build? Should the source code be included in the software project, or it's built outside the domain?
So the GLFW plugin fetches the GLFW code and also the IAM GUI code. So it fetches it automatically at the configuration step.
But your question, I guess, with was is that also fetched with SOFA directly? Is that the question, or?
Well, yeah, it was somehow implicitly answered that the source code is fetched as a part of the plugin. Right?
Yes, so the GLFW plugin is it's an external plugin, not shipped with SOFA.
Yeah.
But it is supported by the Consortium, I think.
Yeah.
It is in the repository from SOFA framework.
I think we should definitely add it in the list of the fetchable plugins that That's something.
And there is a question from Jeremy. Is the new matrix API already visible in the branch or the PR?
No, it's actually on a branch on my fork. I already made a PR, but just for testing, so it's not yet ready to be merged. So let me get the number of the PR. It's 2777. 2777. 77. And it's.
You're not screwed. Okay, you're not sharing anymore.
Go ahead, Younes.
For the non-linear mapping.
So there is two different aspects. There is here it's only address the geometrical stiffness. So it's geometrical stiffness is because when you have a constant force. So when you have a force under a mapping, like stiffness or any force, even a constant force. In fact, when you put the force on the real degrees of freedom, it creates a GTF. Okay, and this GT depends on the position. So when you derivate GTF over X, as GT is not constant, even if the force is constant, it creates a linearity. Create a stiffness. But there are other terms that are not taken into account for the dynamics, which is the time derivative of mappings. There are similar terms, but it's when you want to compute the acceleration of a point. If you have a mapping that can be derived, it could be G point, V point. And this is not taken into account. We don't even have any, I think. So there was previously some work done on the plugin of SOFA.
Flexible. Right.
Maybe flexible. Which was dealing with that. Not sure it was complete.
Yeah,
G dot V dot. If you have if you have the acceleration, in fact today we come for the acceleration. So if the velocity is G V, then you derivate GV, and you have two terms. One today we take into account, which is G V dot. This we have it, and the other term G dot V. We take it. Unfortunately, it's really bad.
But yeah, so you already noticed that on the GitHub discussion forum that people are actually looking for having access to the matrices.
Mm-hmm.
There have been already like it's a general topic that's why I was pointing you out. Vlad, because I was thinking maybe in the past you already was willing to access those matrices, but it's a general topic that people are actually expecting in SOFA. So that's good actually that it comes and there is something that you forgot to mention about what you did in the last months, I would say. It's the documentation on the various ways of accelerating a simulation. And I think it's quite important to have in the doc a location where when people want to accelerate their simulation, they have actually a way of knowing how to do that, what are the various ways, and if possible, when to choose one or the other or both. That's yeah. So it's in the chat of the stream. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, I think it's.
Can I ask? Sorry.
You're right.
Yeah.
Please. No, I was looking for what I just wrote.
No, just so in the end, for example, for the geometry stiffness, which component implements that? It's the mapping is supposed to be.
Yes.
So you, in the future implementation, you will be looking if there's a specific method get geometry stiffness.
Actually, there is already a gate K method, I think, and to match
two methods. No? There is gate K and there is compute like a DGF.
Okay.
So all linear, all non-linear mapping should implement that.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like rigid mapping.
Yeah, I think rigid mapping is the only one which implements this.
Mm-hmm. So it will not be the same name because it needs to have consistency with the other components, but it will be actually the same pattern. Okay.
So that was for the 6 topics that we were supposed actually to cover for the. We were supposed to cover that by noon.
Lunchtime.
Yeah, lunchtime. We can have a break here. We need to check. Oh, it's already 3:30. So we need. We could maybe check for when to have actually the coffee break, but maybe before taking the break. So the slide after was actually for the afternoon, and for the afternoon it was the potential projects for the roadmap. So always the key things are to have someone in charge, meaning it's not necessarily the only one to work on the topic, but at least someone we can ask for updates and stuff like that on the topic, and to have a list of a few tasks so that we are sure the project has generally be a bit thought before just being dropped to the community. And so that we can, in 6 months, just like say, okay, what's up, what's going on, and if there is some things like Eric did this time, saying, okay, I just did not have to do more than, and I did this and this, but it's not covering everything that I planned. It's not a big deal, but at least to have someone to talk to and a list of tasks, it's already quite nice. So the idea is to actually select among the different topics we discussed already this morning, or possibly additional topics that you will be working on in the next months. But to have a list of topics that will build actually the 2212 roadmap. So that
Very
will
quickly.
Yeah. So that's the afternoon objective. And just before that, and it's actually part of that, we wanted to actually for the next months and actually years take the following of Fred's contract and have another guy working with us in SOFA. And for this reason, we actually gathered the needs or the wishes from members to actually request a new resource to know on which kind of topic people would be actually interested. Members, I should actually say, members of the consortium would be actually willing to have dedicated resources. And that was more or less the list of the topic they raised. So it's quite a long list, but you see it goes from the constraint resolution, which actually will be progressing thanks to the work of Alex, but other topics, differentiable simulation, you can read as good as I can, but FEM validation, performances, GUI, there is twice GUI for robotics and for SOFA with a modeler. Unifying updates, that's what we mentioned before, how components are able to update themselves and remain consistent or invalid themselves, saying, okay, I'm shit, I cannot compute anything anymore. Working on Caribou, related to what presented Arnaud also this morning, Caribou, I think, has potential for the mechanical community, and having more modern rendering in SOFA. That was some kind of the list of the topics that raised from the discussions, and we asked the members to actually, consortium members, to sort out those topics. They are actually more or less in the order, for the first ones at least, in the order of preferences. I must say I'm super astonished to see this order appearing. I would almost have like reversed it. So that this will maybe need a bit further discussion. So this was like an open vote. This was the vote is not over for the members. And what will be done as well is something that we already wanted to do before that. It's to also have a separated vote, also coming from the community, so including you guys, among those topics to select which one you would like actually to see and to get possibly get. Yeah.
So we will provide you the same poll that we asked for the members.
And feel free to vote.
Everyone will count as one more.
So that's for the vote coming for the community. I'll send you here those who registered and so on to obviously directly the link, or Guillaume will do. But and Elle will also advertise that on the GitHub discussion. Sorry, so that the whole community can actually see it, vote, and because I guess some newcomers can also maybe think that the rendering of SOFA is shit, or that the current jury is actually not appropriate to start, whatever, basically to make feedback. So that's... Sorry?
You didn't see the message.
That is saying it is shit.
Thanks, man.
Quick question though, what's meant by performances?
It's a very good point. It's one of the points really up in the, you see back here, or the sorted by the members topics. It was also one of the remarks of several of them saying it's quite like vague. Is that like GPU computing, multiplayer, or
examples, or
and it's something which is maybe not really clear to say what aspects of performances do we really want to address. It's something which is not really clear. Sorry.
Like now, the most for new SOFA experiments.
Not really, actually. I mean, it's not the worst, definitely, but saying that we are beating all other solutions is actually not true. Yeah, yes, we are, but all right. So that's for you to know that again there will be this open vote, and that we are in this. That's actually the process we want to have also with members. So they are supporting SOFA. They can also have their voice heard when we are deciding what kind of technical topics we want to start. That's all the philosophy of having a consortium. They can actually decide a bit more than others.
In the end, the project voted by this whole process will join the roadmap, but will not be the only one in the roadmap that we are building right now. So now we have to talk about the others.
Yeah. So there will be among those topics, like I guess the one on the matrices, that will be one topic of the roadmap. There will be others. I think especially for this topic of a new engineer working on SOFA, actually the first task on this to-do list will be to actually recruit this guy. Maybe it could be one of you, maybe someone, but that's the first step, and it's not going to start in 1 month or 2 months, so it's gonna take a bit of time. So yeah, for selecting the project, I already mentioned. You just repeated what was on one of the first slide of this morning, but that's realistic objectives, and really to decide, so to review each project objectives at the end and decide the addition on the roadmap or not.
As usual, we start with selecting the potential projects, and then we will redo the work on the selected project to define the objectives. If there are a lot of projects, we will split. If there are like 2 or 3, maybe we can do this all together. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
so
first, we have to choose some potential projects.
And the objective is not to have exactly 6 as we had, like 6 topics,
Yeah,
and 6 was a lot. I mean, it can work when we have a lot of engineers. If actually all 6 projects did not progress, and it's no problem. But we can select 2, 3, 4, 6. I would not go more than
But the 6th project, this is the project you're...
So the 6th project I'm actually mentioning.
All the continue ones are the ones from these.
Yeah.
And the ending. Yeah. So the 6 firsts are the current projects on the roadmap for the next months.
That was the 6.
Because there is also, to select the topic, there is also a question of, so if there is someone, like I'm thinking of SOFA GUI, now that we know that in the 6 months we will have someone.
Yeah.
So
that, we can.
We can decide not to put it in the roadmap, but there is someone.
Yeah. No. So when there is someone dedicated on something, it's definitely worth to make it appear, and it could be.
If the guy is arriving in 6 months, it will be definitely on the next one.
No. It should be around.
I think it should
over
start
the
in
summer.
September.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So yeah.
So and I think we have a pretty clear idea actually of what could be done. So
you will have to update from time to time if you want to have the changes.
Yeah. Because I'm displaying something which is edited in the same time, so it's not, but so for SOFA NG, I think I'd like to keep it on the roadmap just to like advertise it and saying that the only last task will be the 2 last tasks would be documentation, I think, and supporting people making the transition, and I think it's like something which is not really neglectable in terms of time, so we could actually keep it on the roadmap, even if it's not like super valuable in terms of new feature.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Fred agrees with that, but I think Fred will start to have the paupière a bit lourde. There are like 8 hours, I think, ahead of us, so it's starting a bit late. But yeah,
You agree?
Yeah, he agrees perfectly.
Yeah,
I agree. In the middle of his bed. 20, yeah, okay. It's 10:45, so almost 11. DeepPhysX, I think it's another topic that will. So yeah, it's true. Yeah, he's not having a bed. It's South Korea. So DeepPhysX, I think is another topic for sure that will continue since you're on it. At least until the end of the year, so it's another topic, and I think everything that you listed already in the presentation could be added on the roadmap as is.
This was only a suggestion, but
yeah, and that's actually where also I think we could add a few bullet points connecting this new engineer and yours. We could actually put like everything in one, like SOFA and AI, covering both SOFA GUI and DeepPhysX. But COSRA, you said you also listed. We already got the few bullet points that you were actually targeting for the next release. So yeah, Camille took the engagement for Younes. Apparently, you're the contact point now. I'm sorry. Matrix assembly as well, but I think here maybe we could actually work.
Have 5. Okay.
Yeah, but it's actually
just saying.
Yeah. But
we'll have to do the next STC like 5 days long to do all the presentations.
And for matrix assembly, I think here we'll need maybe to set a few bullet points, not really like for your work, Alex, but rather for what we expect from as connection with the community, to say we need feedback more or less at this moment. We need to get this kind of integration there, and possibly topology. That's what we said. Should we or not make it appear? I think we could. We have like small out of roadmap topics that could progress or not, and it's always worth to mention to raise them. But SOFA Phoenix, I don't know how much. Was there still a lot of efforts? There was a shortlist provided by Arno. And he was mentioning end of PhD, September, October. So we should have some feedback from them as well. I think also for the next SOFA week, at least from Sidati. Sidati should be able to provide some feedback here.
Will it be main roadmap task or small side?
Maybe we should actually maybe ask that directly to them. And I think obviously it's already a lot, but it's already covering you, Robin, Alex, Eric. You already have your topics also that were mentioned. Ines as well. Vlad, I don't know if you have anything in mind that you, or either you'd like to join.
Mostly, I can help with rendering, I suppose, if any help is needed, and then I have topics of my own
Yeah.
that I need to focus on if I want to finish my PhD.
Can you specify, by the way, about the timing? I wanted to ask that during the break. I'm sorry. You know the timing of ending PhD and
for now it's roughly June, July 2023.
Okay. So the writing will be like early 2023, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's somewhere starting from March, April.
All right.
And then I want to focus for now on rupture and cutting simulation.
Yeah.
If it's possible, I would like to make it as general as possible, but then
yeah, this could even if it's like not something that could that would be a whole topic as is for the roadmap, but I think it would be nice to have it aside, Guillaume, to have like something like short demo of tearing cutting in SOFA. It's something where we do have some topological changes demo with the processor, and even if it's still with the processor as a first step, but to have something physically based that would be, as we discussed earlier, would be really nice. I'm browsing. Tanguy, I don't know whether so you would work, I guess, on the tutorials that you are actually referring to. That could be also set on the side project as well. So that I see again this performance GPU multi-threading. That's the stuff that it's like keyword magic that everybody would be yeah, we would need that, yeah, definitely. But more concretely, what we do with that, I'm not so sure.
But you've been working a little bit on that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Also on GUI and rendering and matrix.
So you'll be in the contact point for all those 5 projects. That's okay. I'm sorry, your vacations has been cancelled. No, so yeah, I don't remember exactly. Maybe Damien raised this error handling topic, or
I think he's I think he's really interested in that. Seems logical.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't have the time to see what Fred said, but again, what is important, and we will discuss that tomorrow because he will be there tomorrow, Damien. But what would actually, what would actually matter, even if it's a topic that that Damien is taking, it's that he's really making the effort of putting a few bullet points and saying, okay, I'm going to do that, and that concretely in SOFA, just to know where it goes in the next months. Constraint resolution, it's I think related to what you will be doing, but I guess it's not going to be.
It's long term.
It's more long. By the way, do you think this could be?
I'm not sure it's long term. It's midterm.
Okay. What is midterm?
I don't know.
But definitely not 2012.
Maybe not for release in
December,
but it will be started before release. But
okay.
It's to be discussed with Christian.
Yeah.
Christian.
But maybe we can take a bit of time. What I wanted to make is a short roundtable so that we see if we are forgetting any topic here.
Yeah.
Then we can take a short coffee.
But a short.
It's just refresh the concept that already exists, or
No.
apply a new theory.
So I was saying, you said about GPU, right? Or
No, the constraint resolution.
okay.
It's a refresh or a new theory that we apply.
The goal is to make it more modular, so you can implement the solver that you need and want.
So Yeah, and so this we can definitely discuss. We could also discuss, the task we expect people to test, over, starting from the summer when, when the Matrix API will be ready, as Jeremy actually asked for it. Could be nice to have beta test and feedback and review. So you're working already on TRX. I think it's maybe some, I would say again, maybe on the side roadmap, but it's things that you will be doing anyway, already. It's to get, even if it's like for some people it can be considered as just, but I think it's super cool, like demos, videos of robots. If you do, if you do any of those kind of things, just let me know. We can really promote that. It has always a very nice effect.
It's demo, and also the idea is to document this demo.
Okay.
So that, because the idea is that today in the project here, it's the beginning, so that we know that this demo will evolve with the hardware, because they are making. So they are also in the hardware side. They are
developing
making
things.
the project, etc. So of course the digital tool will have pressure. So we have to give the keys to people to make the simulation.
Okay.
So it could be nice. I think it could be nice.
And same for you, Olivier, because I was then making myself the round table. I don't know if there would be among the topics you raise as you something you'd like to do in the next months. If there is something you're sure to address, I remember of 3 bullet points. I have it in the document.
I'm sure of nothing. But yeah, I don't know.
There is so currently, so Felix is supposed to
today it's supposed to start.
to work, to work on. So to basically there is a plugin model order reduction.
Yeah.
Which needs to be revisited a little bit.
Especially after the change in the...
Yeah. So we have to make it compatible with the new matrix.
Yeah.
So it will be done during the summer.
Okay. So it's the update of model order reduction and then directly working on this contact.
Yeah, but then the contacting it will start in September. At the best, so probably October.
Okay.
Can you refresh to make sure I'm not missing anything? One more.
Avec, tu veux dire la GLFW? Parce que c'est pas coché. Yeah, to also specify that, but they will naturally. Because adding in the GUI run SOFA 3, removing run SOFA 3 and saying basically just using the new GUI that I think could be added, because if we really want to ourselves make the transition over the summer, test it and provide it in the next release, it can be actually good to announce it so that people can. It gives a bit of visibility since we're gonna make it anyway. It's gonna be the denser roadmap we ever had. While Fred and Guillaume will be leaving. It's gonna.
Oh, small question regarding Qt. Since you're trying to get away from it, do we actually? Well, does SOFA actually use any features apart from GUI-related features from Qt? Because Qt is no, nothing. No.
Would you like or?
No. I'm just curious because Qt is something a little bit bigger than GUI, and I was wondering if
there is the doc browser, which is used, but which is indirectly linked to GUI. Okay, so I'd like just to make a few bullets, so just to rediscuss if you are open to that. So matrix assembly, just to define a few points. Just browsing, and we need a bit more insight about SOFA. It's okay.
Topology can be.
Yeah, a side project. We know.
Yeah, what do you mean by side project? And
it's things that are like I can show you here how it's actually
let
looking.
me reframe my question.
Yeah.
Does it mean that there will be presentations?
No.
Okay. It's okay.
I mean, possibly yes, but it's something which is like not compulsory. It's not just like here. That was what we had from last technical committee, and there is then here an area of more projects where we had actually here I think mostly one. I think. Ah no, okay. I had something better wrong in mind, but yeah. So sorry. Yeah, so it was things that were already so improving the UX. I know who wrote that, but I think it did not work. It did not progress so far. Improving the doc, I think it's again just like the forum discussion. I'm sorry guys, but it's really something that as soon as you see something wrong in the doc, really fix it, improve it. Any small contribution is really like just huge to us because for the moment there is almost none. So it's. A bit is better than nothing. But yeah, so it could appear like that to answer the question.
Can
The side project.
Can you refresh again?
This page? Okay. Yeah.
Are we good with that? So who is behind each one on the left?
So DeepPhysX, and it will be linked. It will be linked with I don't see it with the SOFA GUI. I think we'll put both actually together. Kosra is here. It's the new first name of Younes. Matrix assembly on my left. GUI, it's like maybe it could be me like Consortium just for. Since it's just a question of adopting it, using it, and model order reduction could be you plus I don't know you or Felix. I don't know who would be the most.
Until he's on vacation.
So it will be Felix then.
Yeah, I mean, but he's from September.
We left it.
He will.
He will go.
He will go. He finished in September.
Okay. And he's not coming back.
No, he's taking 1 year for big travel.
Big travel, but with a computer or with a.
I think with a bike.
Thank you, our sofa with you. Okay. So
with t-shirts of family.
Portable sofa.
Who will
well,
I think we could also take constraints resolution because it will go with it's the first steps that you mentioned, Alex. It goes together. I mean, it's saying.
Yeah, but talk about this. Like it could be the next steps of the presentation about matrix assembly.
Yeah, but I mean, I was thinking, but yeah, that's fine.
It's a bit unrelated, but
okay.
yeah, I understand your point.
It's your
my point.
No, Guillaume's point. There are too many points.
Yeah, but some of them are actually going together, like not a lot, but some of them. And it's also just because people are actually involved on their project, so it's like.
And don't forget that we have to define some objectives for each one now.
Yeah, but
that's possible that we will not get to one objective for the constraint resolution. But at least let's discuss it.
So yeah. Is there among the I think I forgot.
We have more room you can add some more topics.
So if there's things that are missing, let us know after the coffee. And if in your topics, for instance, in your case, Robin, there's things that needs to be defined. But I think from your presentation was pretty clear what would be the next steps, knowing that could be added the 2 bullet points that we mentioned, saying scikit-learn may be tested and connection with the DevForce to make sure about the infrastructure. Yeah, so otherwise I think you could follow nicely. Kosra, the bullet points were also pretty clear for the yeah.
Was it not planned to work on FEM validation?
So no, so
I mean, it was said that it is quite a priority for some
yeah.
people.
For it's the point where is it? Down on the left. Project vertical. It would be there would be, but it requires someone, and the first step is to actually hire someone, and to work on that topic. Would that be actually this topic of validation or another one? That's among the topics selected that we must actually decide.
Lastly, I see that we still have Jeremy and Jorg online. If you guys have some topics you wish to add, even if it's not community topics, but topics related to companies, we can promote them if you're sure there will be something to show in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So do not hesitate to add or to propose something.
Yeah, maybe you can take the time to actually write it in the chat if you'd like. Let's make a break here, and we'll obviously read the chat if there is anything in the meantime. And let's discuss some of the topics that we identified. I identified mostly the matrix assembly, where we need a bit more bullet points, maybe. Same for GUI, but GUI it's even a bit easier to get adopted, I think, activated by default in SOFA and so on. But yeah, could be discussed as well. If you see any more topic, any other topic to be discussed for really making those tasks and bullet points, let us know. Coffee? Coffee and muffin.
Ah, c'est bon.
Ça c'est un donut.
Hugo, can you switch slides until coffee with the countdown? Thanks.
Tu anything else?
It's me.
Okay. And if something is unclear anytime, just let us know.
Is differentiable simulation different from the Phoenix project?
Yes.
Thanks for the question. Thanks for the good appreciation. No, different. Yes. So it's a good question. It's actually a topic that we do not master at all. Neither Guillaume nor I. It's a topic brought by Stefan at the origin, and the idea is to have a fully differentiable simulation, not only the physics, but the solvers apparently on top of that, and so on. I don't really understand what it means, but
I know that some people are trying also to make differentiable contact.
Yeah. So I cannot really tell.
Some things that is not differentiable.
And apparently, so the big application would be deep learning. So to have apparently allows you to make
learning predictive control.
Predictive control. And so I don't really know what is underlying. I can see what it means to be able to differentiate your part of your equation in general, but yeah, I'm also wondering because I know there is also already simulations framework for which are providing differentiable simulation, so really differentiable simulators. I'm also wondering just on a strategy, like the strategy for an open source framework to say, oh, we are not, but we will become also a differentiable simulator. How much work would that imply? I think quite a lot, actually, in the API and so on of SOFA. Who will do that? Yeah, it's like it sounds to me like a bit open topic where we are like no real expert, and the API is not at all supporting that for the moment, and we would like to support that suddenly in SOFA. I'm a bit astonished about and not really understanding everything about this topic.
Spoke a lot about it with Damien. I spoke about it with them because last time I reviewed a paper on that, and they are comparing what we are doing so far with this. SOFA today is more complex, very complex. It's very complex to use, and for complex cases, it's not easy to do the machine learning. While when you have like differentiable simulation, it's easy for AI. At that point, I don't know about differential simulation. I just think I had that I spoke with Dennis to say that it's very difficult to do to say that we switching directly from what we have to do.
Yeah.
And for
and it was actually part of the like notes or maybe even warning that we provided to the when we proposed this vote here to the members. We were also saying there is two kind of topics among the 8 here. There is very scientific topics like this one, which would require the guy or the person in charge to at least be in close contact with the research team. And there is other topics that are really dev topics, like the Unify updates in SOFA, that's purely code. And so that's really two kind of categories, very scientific oriented. So there is a FEM validation, which requires a bit of knowledge of FEM mechanics and so on. Differentiable simulation, and Caribou. That were, I think, the 3 of them that were really like a bit scientific related. The rest is more dev, like modern rendering. Need some rendering guides, but I consider that more dev. The 2 GUIs, which is more dev as well. Performances as well. So and unifying the bits. Yeah. Sorry, we diverge. But is there anything else you want to, or is there anything you'd like to?
For me, it's more like it's also dev because
no, there is always dev, but it needs like a scientific insight to you cannot just ask a computer scientist to work on the differential simulation.
For FEM validation,
Yeah.
What do you there?
Yeah, it's a good point. Because actually, the FEM validation, for instance, Arnaud mentioned that earlier in the presentation of Sonix. They did that for Caribou, but it would be it would be to have more or less the same than what they did, but for the FEM codes of SOFA.
Because they did that for Caribou. So comparing SOFA with another software, or with real.
But they did two kinds of validation. This one with another software, and also with manufactured solution. So you are comparing the convergence of your solutions and stuff like that. So it's way more advanced. I mean, yeah, it's a toolbox which is way more advanced than what we have already in SOFA. We could actually make, for instance, regression tests based on those manufactured solutions, so that you always compare not to just the results compared to the previous commit, for instance, and check you're getting the same result, but you know that this result is also the result of the manufactured solution. And today we just have a regression in SOFA, like checking that we don't have any regression failure. You run a scene, it gives you like a new position in space of your object, and you check that you have exactly the same, exactly with a margin of error, but you have the more or less the same. Non-regression test.
You just think that's convergence to something. It says that it converges towards stable.
Not necessarily. No, it gives you just the same position or the same state. Actually,
you want to make sure that the code that you touched does not affect the result of a simulation.
Without
the current behavior.
Exactly, without telling you that the current behavior is the good one.
I thought there was some intern that.
There is always some intern that but
compared it with Abacus.
Yeah.
Where is it?
But you're right, Olivier. I think you are thinking about something, but it's a long time ago already. It was when you were, I think when you maybe not arrived, but it was early, I think, when they were still Igor, and Igor was thinking about coordinating some students. I don't remember if it was intern or PhD, but he wanted to be in charge of this validation topic, but he left. Like in the months after he said, I'm going to work on that. So it's a pity, because it would have helped a lot, like to have a reference document to start from. Yep.
So the things that currently we check.
Stefan, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's okay. No.
Because it's true in a way.
Sorry.
So we check that it really lacks your theoretical behavior.
So, to be honest, no. But to be honest as well, yes, because it has been checked. Almost each of those codes have been checked independently in papers and so on, but never like gathered into one reference document. So you have like one paper here, and to check backwards after like 15 years of development to know which paper is actually giving you the result of convergence of this code is hard. Not to say not possible, but yeah. So that would be the purpose. It's actually not a huge work to do, but I would say it's not like a super complicated work to do, but in fact you need to do that very cleanly, and that's why we chose at the time Igor, because Igor was like that, sometimes too much, but for a good reason. So he was saying, okay, you need to choose actually good test cases for each model, 3D model, 2D model, 2D implementation, and so on. BIM models. So BIM is maybe the only good example currently where for COSRA you implemented an analytical solution that you can actually compare to. I was doing the same some time ago for diffusion effects, because you can also have an analytical solution for that as well. But for, I would say, other constitutive laws in SOFA, it's not the case. In Caribou, it has been done, and another alternative could also be to replace the FEM from SOFA with the one from Caribou. But performances are very similar. There is validation which is there. There is the connection with Phoenix as well, which is there. just the problem with the Caribou plugin, and that's why it's actually on the list here of possible development tasks or topics, is that there is actually no engineers at Mimesis which is really mastering and cleaning and taking care of this plugin. So still, its connection with SOFA is like fragile, which is a pity because it's a very good plugin, I think. But yeah. So that's is to answer both your points. But yeah. So just I don't want to spend time just chatting about those 8 points, but it was just if you have really any feedback saying okay, really I consider this is the most important point you should address. It's.
But then I agree with that in first actually. Even we always assume it's correct. But to validate that the model we use is actually correct. I was always
confident
expecting it to be true.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I know that maybe sometime in paper review, people question the validity of.
And each time that people check.
So if we had like a really something that says, look, these are the results.
It would be just the format of a report saying it's even not a paper. We don't care with the. On my point of view, it could even be published in some. It makes some kind of reference and so on. But at least a report saying if we don't care about the format, but this has been tested. This model with this kind of resolution, you can look at the convergence in space, in time, and comparing with the analytical solution, and basically giving all the possible details that we can do on. Maybe not all the implementation, but at least the FEM force field, the FEM exa tetra force field, the hyperelastic one in SOFA, and that would be like a minimum. Yeah, triangle and quads would be nice as well. But it's some kind of a work that no one wants to actually want to do. Yeah, that's a bit the problem actually. And Igor was motivated to do that, so it was actually.
And what, because in Phoenix they have it, right?
Sorry. So I don't. Arnaud mentioned that. How are they validating that? I don't remember if it's again with the same as in Caribou manufacturer solution, or they have some analytical solution. Sometimes they are comparing with. I'm not sure.
And how do you see the future of Caribou and Phoenix? Because it seems to address the same problem. Not exactly.
The future of Caribou and
Phoenix.
You mean really Phoenix as the project, or the whole project Phoenix, and
not the fact that you have a SOFA Phoenix
yeah.
and SOFA Caribou.
So
I think for me it seems like I want to do a good FEM. I can use both now. Probably.
Yeah. You know this picture of Jean-Claude Van Damme between two trucks. Have you seen that? Because otherwise maybe. It's again I'll find it for you, but it's actually quite.
You are Jean-Claude Van Damme? Or?
Yeah, the one so Van Damme trucks. Okay, there we are. On en est là, hein, salut.
But what's the what's the
because you'll understand. I'll explain here. So I'm gonna zoom in. It's zooming in, but anyway. So yeah, there we are. So it's basically on the right hand side you have the SOFA, the truck. On the left hand side you have Phoenix, another truck, which are both driving. Maybe not same speed, maybe, and in the middle that's Sonix. No, it's I mean for real. I mean and that has been mentioned already by Stéphane, Arnaud, and so on when they requested for an engineer working on that. That's one of the points that has been brought also and pointed out by the jury. It's be careful. You are in between two projects, which are both evolving, not with the same roadmaps and purpose and so on. So purposes, sorry, and so on. So this, I think, is maybe the biggest, the big danger for the SOFA Phoenix platform. Otherwise, it's perfect. You want to have a model which is not existing in SOFA, you implement it. I mean, the idea is very, very
Attractive.
sorry,
Attractive.
attractive. Yeah, yeah, very, very attractive. It could work with a lot of different communities and so on. That's the limitation I would see. Then, if we talk only about Caribou, the future of Caribou, I think it's really worth it to get it closer to SOFA, but we need more people to work with it and to get some more feedback about Caribou, because you know they are like we lost. I know that you're on the video, so and you can actually really see this idea of man spreading somehow between two tracks. So yeah, that's it's maybe, I would say it's maybe just lacking of engineering forces, unfortunately here, because the project is interesting, the idea is interesting for both projects. So that's why I was also referring Quentin. If Quentin is interesting to at least just take a look, not really get involved in terms of dev automatically and so on, but take a look for oh, I want to implement this new model which is not in SOFA, not in Caribou, not anywhere. It's rather cool to be able to implement it.
Could we come back to the roadmap definition?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because these subjects are not even on the road.
Yeah, the Van Damme.
Yeah, and even any of these ones.
Yeah. But yeah, it's for later on. Tonight, maybe we could have a beer after the day, if you'd like, or even tomorrow for the restaurant. We could rediscuss those points for the future of SOFA. So let's get back to the documents. Here. So GUI, I see.
To switch the slides.
Yeah.
Subjects or so have someone on each.
With the
For SOFA GUI, for example.
no, not.
Do we do it together?
Not
Maybe.
No, it's gonna be tomorrow. Etienne and Robin will work on that tomorrow, and I think they won't be. Yeah, they definitely. And I think actually that's what I was going to say. There won't be actually a SOFA GUI dedicated. It will be in. I think it would be nice to put that under a bullet point, which is more SOFA NII. One bullet, 1 point, one project would be DeepPhysX and one SOFA GUI. And
but I kept the connection between projects.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Else, I am on the GUI, and I'm connected also to the one from Alex and the matrix assembly. I did not check if
is there a need for discussion on any topic, or is it straightforward and we just need some quiet time, like 10 minutes?
I think it can be just a quiet time for most of them. Just maybe on peut discuter juste maybe.
Mais j'ai besoin de questions pour les résolutions.
Ok.
Comment on fait des petits groupes, c'est ça?
Comment
On fait des petits groupes?
Ouais, bon, on peut se mettre juste à côté. On va faire ça, non?
Non, on peut commencer là.
Ouais, on se met tous les trois là.
If there is no much
Non,
need,
mais comme on va parler.
Ah oui, non, mais moi j'étais sur Matrix Assembly.
D'accord.
Pour se mettre comme ça.
Allez.
Ouais, du coup, mais
if there is only one topic that needs discussions, we can do it right away, all together. If there is just the topic of constraint resolution that needs.
And in the meantime, I guess Robin already worked on the doc. Younes the same.
Yeah. So
Okay.
no need to do.
Okay. Shall we keep English for that, or maybe we?
I don't know. We still have Jeremy with us.
Yeah. I
Donc,
think
mais par contre, je sais
we
pas,
can
on
make
écrit
it in
dans
French.
Matrix Assembly ou dans Constraint Resolution?
I guess
Yes,
Christian
il y a les
decided.
Oui.
Ah, sorry.
Non, moi, je mettrais tout dans Matrix Assembly, parce que ouais, Matrix Assembly faire les quelques bullet points et
Ok. Let's start.
je sens que j'ai tout. Alors, description. Attends. J'écris. Ça, on pourra. Alors, réalistique objectif. Ça, c'est quoi le premier truc sur les naming, etc. C'est quoi, c'est se mettre d'accord, c'est ça
Se mettre d'accord, ouais. Le naming, après cleaning et minor.
oui.
Enfin, minor refactoring, c'est aussi sur feedback.
Ok. Il y avait l'idée, bah, donc il y a le range of the summer. Parce qu'en gros, la première étape, c'est ça. Derrière, il faut des bêta-testeurs avec naming, refactoring, and voilà. Cleaning. Apply new API on SOFA. Ok, ça. Juste dans la foulée. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres choses
Pour rappel, on avait ça dans la précédente STC.
La 5 c'est rendu. Ah oui, voilà, oui, c'est ça, je voulais dire. Ça, du coup, tu veux.
Je sais pas du tout.
Mais c'est un truc que ça paraît. C'est un truc qui paraît faisable et désirable, oui, mais.
Bah, je sais pas.
Je sais pas si c'est faisable.
Bah, écoute, j'ai réussi à me connecter. C'est
Unifier des forces, le cas, tout.
L'idée, c'est d'arrêter d'avoir des multiples. Enfin, deux fonctions pour aller cas sans deux.
Très bien. Bel objectif.
On le remet dans mettons-le et puis on en discute. On peut peut-être
Comment on
copier
pourrait
après.
faire ouais, c'est peut-être pas réalistique objectif. Tu peux mettre un bullet point non réalistique objectif.
Ça c'était un truc quand même qui. Ça attirait pas mal les gars de Anatoscope. Hein. Ils étaient. C'est ça de Maxime là, qui disait ça serait. Que si on trouvait un beau design là-dessus, il serait curieux de voir comment on faisait pour merger les deux.
Je savais pas, ils sont membres du consortium.
Et ils sont donateurs.
C'est donateur.
Généreux donateurs. On part grâce à eux au cas.
Il n'y en aura pas de chiffres.
Voilà. Nous ensemble.
Toi, il n'y a pas de chouquette.
Aïe, aïe, aïe.
On
Je leur donne ça.
lui ne veut pas débloquer des sous depuis les comptes offshore.
Et,
Et ça, on peut en discuter. Ouais. C'est vrai que c'est pas évident comment on le fait. C'est pas évident.
Là, pour le coup, c'est vraiment de la vie. Ça sera.
Ah si, il y a une façon de le faire qui est très simple. C'est dès que tu fais
Voilà.
Il faudrait voir si on peut le faire avec l'interface. Et ce serait l'assembleur qui devrait changer.
Ouais, mais
il continuerait à appeler la même fonction d'assemblage.
Comme pour le add, là.
Ouais. Et il ferait autre chose derrière.
C'était ce qui avait été évoqué justement à la SOFA GUI, c'était de se dire.
C'est vrai qu'il y a un truc qui m'a toujours un peu étonné, c'est qu'aujourd'hui, c'est optimiser les forces. Si effectivement tu fais qu'un seul appel entre les deux, il n'y a pas photo. Tu fais des forces et le automatique, c'est après qui multiplie par. Par contre, si effectivement tu fais un 4 matrices que tu as dans une matrice creuse, et après tu fais plein de multiplications par matrice parce que tu es en train de faire je pense que
mais c'est ce que fait le gradient conjugué.
Ouais. Et il n'est pas si.
En tout cas, pour le cas du sinus, il est mieux. Il est meilleur que le matrix.
Mais pour autant, je suis pas sûr qu'il y ait des trucs mappés.
Ouais, et puis la taille du système,
je sais pas, non, ça parlera pas.
Ouais, mais les trucs mappés, c'est
encore un peu. Non, mais c'est vrai que.
Bon, après, est-ce que c'est une priorité
disons que si tu changes d'interface, si on dit que en 2012, 2022, tu changes d'interface. Je pense que
on pourrait réfléchir à. Il faut aller plus loin.
Quitte à changer les choses, autant le faire une fois.
Tu le fais qu'une fois. Parce que...
Mais est-ce que justement ça veut, tu vois, en le mettant en premier avant le merge, le truc que je me suis demandé, c'est est-ce qu'il y a d'autres choses à faire le merge?
Ah oui, avant, pas en priorité, mais pas en chronologie.
Non, pas forcément.
Okay. Je sais pas.
Non, et donc ma question c'était est-ce que ce que je voulais dire c'est, bon, je l'avais mis avant parce que peu importe, mais est-ce qu'il y a d'autres choses à faire avant le merge? Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres, est-ce qu'il y a des trucs à.
Ouais, il y a des petits trucs pourris là, des scènes qui ne marchent pas encore. Et c'est des trucs préconditionnés.
Ah ouais, c'est ça. Ouais, franchement, c'est pas grave, on le fait apparaître, de toute façon, c'est un taf interne relou qu'il faut se.
C'est ça.
Je pense que le cluster au début, c'est une expérience.
Là, l'idée, c'est, enfin, tu vois, je me dis, autant se mettre le max de trucs que toutes les envies que on voit et puis comme ça, ça satisfait. Si ça a été résolu, ou même si on l'a trompé, c'est pas grave, on se sera trompé.
En fait, j'ai déjà traité, mais il faudrait que.
Et pour que comme je me souviens parce que je suis anonyme, c'était quoi les soucis
je t'ai dit, j'ai découplé linear system et linear server, et du coup, pour chaque linear server, il faut un linear system. Et comme il y a des scènes, quand tu fais du préconditionné avec du warp, machin, tu as 3 linear servers dans le même. Donc, du coup, il faut que le système linéaire soit capable de dealer avec un linear system. Donc il y aura potentiellement 3 qui sont créés automatiquement. Ou alors, est-ce que tu fais des accès manuels? Tout ça, c'est pas hyper clair. C'est un peu le bordel en fait, d'avoir. Tu vois, tu as la situation simple où tu as un système linéaire dans ton nœud, ça c'est réglé, c'est bon. Mais dès que tu en as 2 ou 3,
Un cas avec 2, c'est
un système, un préconditionné. Un CG préconditionné.
voilà, ouais.
Après, tu as le CG conditionné avec un warp préconditionné. Ça utilise les rotations des éléments pour transformer une matrice préconditionné dans une matrice préconditionné. Tu utilises un sparse LDL juste pour assembler la première fois la matrice ou une fois la matrice. Et tu utilises les rotations pour la rotater. Et tu l'utilises comme préconditionné.
Parce que mine de rien, ça fait, tu sais, ne serait-ce que si ce truc-là, plus Unify API, là, Jackie, là, ça fait déjà du taf, quoi.
Mais en fait, moi, ce que je ne sais pas, c'est qu'est-ce que je vais recevoir comme feedback. Est-ce qu'on va faire des... Combien de réunions on va faire avec qui, etc. pour recevoir le feedback. Est-ce qu'il y a des changements qui vont être demandés, etc. C'est pour ça que je mets minor refactoring. Je n'accepterai pas.
Ouais.
Oui, donc c'est ça.
Franchement, c'est sûr que supporter les préconditionneurs, ça semble important. Après, comment...
Bah, ça semble important, mais tu connais des gens qui les utilisent.
Quoi? Des préconditionneurs.
On connaît. On connaît combien? Plus qu'un? Non, mais je dis pas qu'il faut pas le faire. C'est juste que c'est...
Si ça arrive, en fait, alors, je ne sais pas si on l'utilise pour de bonnes raisons. On l'utilise quand même de temps en temps.
Après, l'application de la nouvelle API faudrait mutualiser.
Ouais, moi je suis chaud. Après, mais en même temps, je suis sûr que tu as déjà fait. Bon, je suis sûr que tu as déjà fait les trucs entre guillemets faciles à propager. Et les derniers trucs qui vont rester, ça.
Il y avait des trucs chiants.
Ah ouais.
Genre masse.
Attends.
Il y a eu masse functor, add functor. Parce qu'ils utilisaient. C'était hyper chaud. Ouais, c'était pour ajouter, en fait, c'était pour gérer les cas rigides et avec mais de la même manière. Parce que ta matrice, ta masse dans les rigides, c'est pas juste. C'est le mass type.
Ok.
Suivant si c'est rigide le vecteur 3, tu ne l'ajoutes pas de la même manière dans la matrice. Tu avais les foncteurs. C'est-à-dire un truc qui dépend du temps de la matrice.
Et ouais, ça va. Le apply. Sur la nouvelle API, ça va. Ça peut prendre justement sur quelques codes.
Si c'est un cas simple, ça va très vite. Non, s'il y a des fonctions, c'est clair que ça va plus longtemps. D'ailleurs, pour
Ok. Et puis,
ça ne va pas être le cas. Normalement, ça doit être facile. Alors, oui, il y a un autre point que je voulais rajouter éventuellement. Je vais en discuter avec vous. C'est plutôt que de changer tout en une fois, c'est de rendre compatible la nouvelle API avec l'ancienne. C'est-à-dire que la nouvelle appelle l'ancienne, qui est une espèce
couche de
couche de compatibilité, voilà. Et
C'est
j'ai pas encore
l'ancienne appelle le...
Non, la nouvelle appelle l'ancienne, parce que la nouvelle, elle a besoin que la nouvelle a besoin qu'elle soit implémentée, que tous les force fields l'implémentent.
Ah oui, d'accord.
Si c'est pas implémenté, ça fera rien. Donc, s'il n'y a rien, ce serait bien d'appeler Alcatomatrix. L'ancien Alcatomatrix, parce que lui, il existe. Par contre, ça, ce serait bien pour rajouter une couche de compatibilité. Par contre, j'ai pas étudié si c'est faisable.
Donc c'est là, je l'ai mis dans la discussion. C'est un mécanisme qui permet d'appeler Adcatomatrix ancien.
Ah, parce qu'en gros, quand tu mets merge, si on fait le merge, c'est que derrière.
Ça veut dire que tu maintiens pendant un moment encore tout le temps, il faut le mettre bien. Parce que ça veut dire que tu ne cherches pas que les matrices matin après, mais il faut maintenir au moins suffisamment.
Non, pas forcément.
Ou tu fais un fait du matrice matin.
Non, pas forcément.
Bah, il faut au moins que la classe existe, parce que sinon.
La classe existera, ça juste lui déprécié. Déprécié, ça veut dire qu'il y aura un message de warning. La classe est dépréciée.
Du coup, elle existera toujours en SOFA, donc tu as compilé. Les gens
Ça va compiler, mais il n'y aura rien dedans.
Sauf si, effectivement, tu fais une espèce de couche de compatibilité, il faudra peut-être que tu extraies.
Non, parce qu'on s'en fout de ça.
Mais comment tu iras
Ah, mais
charger?
du coup, tu sais que c'est beau. Ça, c'est breaking pour le.
Comment tu feras? Parce que si imagine que tu récupères l'ancienne version de Catomatrix, lui, il met ses contributions dans cette multimatrice.
Ouais, bah c'est ça, il faudra
Donc
rajouter.
il faudra quand même que tu mettes une interface, même si tu gardes une classe globalement libre, au moins tu fasses quelques interfaces avec toi.
Mais non. Mais Mechanical Matrix Matter n'a plus besoin d'exister parce qu'il sera géré automatiquement par la nouvelle méthode d'assemblage. Sauf qu'il n'appellera pas Adcatomatrix, il appellera Build Stiffness Matrix. Et Build Stiffness Matrix, lui-même, s'il n'est pas implémenté par le composant, ce que je propose, c'est qu'il appelle Adcatomatrix avec un multimatrix accessoire qui est fake.
Et quand même qui est capable de filer la faute.
Ah, la nouvelle API.
Non, c'est ça, je dis pas que.
Mais pour moi, le Mechanical Matrix Mapper n'a rien à voir avec ça. Il a tout.
Mais je confonds, c'est l'accessoire.
Ah oui, c'est ça. Il faudra toujours qu'il existe. Là, pour l'instant, je ne l'ai pas supprimé, il existe encore.
Et qui te file au moins ce qu'il faut comme info.
Ouais, c'est ça.
Non, je ne sais pas à quel point c'est compliqué à faire, mais je suis sûr que ça.
Moi, je peux y réfléchir en tout cas.
Ça paraît pas mal.
Moi, ça me semble.
Même pour tester, en fait. Est-ce que ça rajoute
Parce qu'en plus, Lali vient de me dire que l'adapteur, elle a eu du mal à l'utiliser. Donc, autant le faire de façon automatique. Dans un premier temps.
Ouais. Non, du coup, je pense qu'effectivement, c'est pas mal pour les gens si au lieu d'avoir plutôt sous la gorge, genre.
Il faut changer les gueux.
Soit ça passe, soit ça marche pas. Moi, ça permet d'avoir un truc qui marche. La personne, elle sait qu'elle doit.
C'est juste que les couches de compatibilité, bon, déjà, il y a ces limitations. Tu ne peux pas gérer tous les cas. Mais c'est surtout beaucoup de boulot pour moi. Et ça rajoute de la complexité dans le code qui n'est pas forcément nécessaire. Et tu casses les couleurs.
Et Parce que,
we cannot
et du coup, c'est-à-dire que dans,
anything outside.
c'est là, si on prend le cas de la masse dont tu parlais, là, ça sera des trucs comme ça, de se dire, au lieu de faire le build, build mass matrix, le build mass matrix finalement appelle le add m to matrix.
Ouais, ça.
Et comment tu enlèves le offset et comment tu enlèves le k factor.
Ouais, il faut y réfléchir.
Ouais, c'est ça, c'est galère là.
Faudra
que c'était tout à zéro.
C'est ça, il faudra fournir des données fake.
Oui, oui. Oui, k factor, oui, oui. Ah, mais là, c'était. Non, oui, c'est.
Ah oui, c'était trop bien.
Après, bon, c'est sûr, hein, ça permet de faire quelque chose de plus smooth, mais à quelle quantité de taf ça rajoute?
C'est ça que j'ai du mal à voir. Si tu me dis que c'est vraiment très complexe, après là, ce que tu viens de dire, là, ça me.
Peut-être que ça me prendra une semaine.
Est-ce qu'on peut.
En tout cas, si c'est investigué, il faut se donner une limite de temps d'investiguer ce truc-là pour se dire non, mais en fait, c'est un piège, c'est un piège à rats, ouais, on est en train de se faire.
Ouais, je serais assez d'avis de faire ça. En gros, si tu arrives à le faire en une semaine et qu'il y a un truc à peu près correct, même si ça marche pas dans tous les cas, quoi. Dans tous les cas.
Pour build un réacteur, rien ne semble insurmontable. Une heure de semaine. Mais le truc, c'est que, enfin, je sais pas comment les gens gèrent les compatibilités, mais c'est qu'à un moment, il faudra couper cette compatibilité.
Ouais. Ouais, mais ça,
c'est-à-dire, ça peut être violent tout de suite, soit maintenant, ou si les gens comptent sur la compatibilité pendant 2 ans, ça sera violent pour eux dans 2 ans.
C'est ça. Ouais. Non, mais sauf que du coup, c'est que pendant 2 ans, ils ont vu.
Il y a des warnings à la compile et tout.
Ils affichent à chaque fois chaque pas de temps parce que c'est.
Exactement, je vais faire à chaque pas de temps. 10 fois par pas.
Ça a un effet assez radical.
C'est clair. C'est clair.
Franchement, quand tu veux qu'un petit souci de merde soit réglé, tu fais un STC là-dedans, non, et tu le pushes en master, il y a tout le monde qui le résout ça. Hein,
c'est clair. Non, mais disons que moi je pense qu'il faut ce que tu disais, c'est bien si tu fais un test pendant. Moi là j'ai du mal à voir comme ça, j'ai l'impression que on a parlé au début, ça me semblait pas si compliqué que ça me donnait la classe. On garde la classe matrix accessor.
Mm-hmm. Ah ouais, on peut.
Que tu fasses une petite couche qui te permet de
récupérer
les informations dans matrix.
Peut-être que c'est ça.
Mais le problème, c'est est-ce que du coup, ça veut dire que tu gardes toute la complexité de matrix accessor?
Non. Je pense que ça va être une classe vide, quasiment. C'est juste pour garder l'interface. Et ce qui est chiant, par contre, c'est que il fait référence à une base matrix. Donc il faudra créer aussi une structure fake base matrix.
Oui,
j'ai tout ce qu'il faut, t'inquiète.
Donne ta gueule.
Donc base matrix qui lui même aussi redirige, tu vois.
Même si.
Donc je pense, franchement, je pense que ce sera pas compliqué. La première fois,
est-ce que j'ai mis one week max? Est-ce que c'est abusé de dire ça?
Bah 2 weeks parce que t'as toujours des.
Non, mais disons que pour moi, c'est une semaine pour dire est-ce que c'est faisable.
Ouais, voilà, une semaine pour dire ça.
Et en sachant que tu faut pas un truc forcément très performant. Je veux dire, si ça te rajoute, ça va t'obliger à faire une copie.
Non, ça va être la régulation. Franchement. Mais par contre, il faudra quand même un message de warning. C'est le message de warning qui est vraiment.
Ça, tu veux des paires?
Je vais mettre un slip, des slips.
La nouvelle API est tellement plus rapide. Allez, hop, c'est gagné.
Je vais faire un graphique.
Sujet suivant. Oui, voilà, comme Eric, il fait des graphes indécents avec. Non, t'inquiète pas. Tu sais, les GPU, le CPU versus GPU, tu vois.
Non, on va juste mettre un imposteur.
Non, mais justement, on veut avoir le même type d'effet waouh sur les courbes avec la nouvelle API. Ok, mais du coup, bon, ça peut être fait, ça, c'est quelque chose qui peut être commencé. Et il y a quand même le truc sur les préconditionnaires, ce qui fait chier, c'est que c'est un truc où s'il n'y a pas de. S'il n'y a personne effectivement qui donne un peu de retour là-dessus.
Non, mais après, il y a les tests unitaires, enfin voilà.
Moi, je me demande s'il y a des préconditionnaires pour l'instant. Nous, on a des cas d'utilisation.
Interaction force field, attention.
Non, mais.
On va les ignorer comme les interactions force field.
Non, mais ce que je réfléchis et je vais utiliser les scores statistiques pour la bonne. Pour moi, l'intérêt, c'est le cas, par exemple, à 5 ans, organiser le gradient conjugué. Mais par exemple, la manière dont on a implémenté ça aujourd'hui, avec ton système, peut-être que le gradient conjugué, qui utiliserait le préconditionnaire, utiliserait la matrice. Est-ce que ça continue? Est-ce que ça utiliserait une matrice non construite?
Ah ouais, non mais comme avec le CG, même dans un cas possiblement construit, tu peux avoir la matrice et donc réutiliser au pas de temps suivant cette matrice que tu veux là, et en fait ça serait quasiment une option.
Parce que si je comprends bien ton problème avec les préconditionneurs, c'est que tu utilises 3 systèmes de matrices différents. Et en fait, je me pose la question si aujourd'hui, en fait, on n'utilise jamais un projet de construction de matrices locales, c'est tout le temps des non-construits. Mais est-ce que dans nos cas, nous, d'utilisation, tu demandes qui utilise les préconditionneurs? Moi, ça n'arrive pas hyper souvent. On l'a déjà utilisé, par exemple, sur le inverse. Mais utiliser le gradient conjugué non construit, avec un préconditionnaire. Peut-être qu'aujourd'hui, en fait, ça aurait une fois que le truc, le point, peut-être que ça sera plus avantageux d'utiliser le gradient conjugué. Donc la matrice qu'on va utiliser pour le gradient conjugué, ça sera déjà construite, ça sera probablement le même format que celle qui est envoyée au préconditionnaire. J'ai un doute sur comment ça se fait. Côté problème-là, en fait,
Côté perte, l'idéal, ce serait d'avoir le CG préconditionnel non construit, mais de ne pas assembler la matrice. C'est-à-dire que si tu prends un préconditionnaire qui assemble la matrice, bah, il y a un moment, tu assembles la matrice, ça te coûte.
Mais tu vas le faire, du coup, autant l'utiliser pour ton. Du coup, à ce moment-là, comme tu construis la matrice, à chaque pas de temps. Ouais, on remarque que non, c'est parce que peut-être qu'on le faisait désynchroniser.
À mon avis, c'est ça. C'est que.
Pour moi, c'était surtout la factorisation qu'on désynchronisait, c'était pas la construction.
Bah, c'est ça, c'est ce que j'ai, moi, c'est ce que j'ai fait. Mais l'assemblage, c'était pas hyper. C'est intéressant d'utiliser un truc comme ça.
C'est la factorisation qui est moins longtemps que l'assemblage.
Non, ce que je voulais dire, c'est que quand tu faisais un serveur comme préconditionnaire, il y a un moment, il faut l'assembler quand même. Et c'est là que ça te plombe.
Ouais, mais quand tu assembles la matrice, et dans l'assemblage, il peut se faire
pour l'instant, non.
Ouais. Alors, mais cela dit, ce qui est sûr qui doit être fait pendant le pas de temps, que je vois mal comment tu désynchronises ça de la simulation, c'est la construction des éléments de la matrice.
Oui, c'est ça.
Parce que la matrice est basée sur la position.
C'est moi que tu mets ça, pour l'instant, c'est fait séquentiellement.
Tu pourrais. Après, ce qu'on pourrait imaginer, c'est d'avoir. Est-ce que dans ton système de construction des matrices, tu pourrais avoir juste la partie 4 sur matrice qui est lancée, stocker les matrices, mais les assembler et toi, toute la partie vraiment assemblage, les synchroniser.
Ah oui, j'ai déjà pensé à faire ça, j'ai jamais essayé. En fait, de multithreader justement l'assemblage. C'est un peu ça. C'est-à-dire on lance plusieurs threads pour calculer les éléments de la matrice, mais on ne les ajoute pas directement dans la matrice. C'est un buffer, quoi, et puis après, une fois que tu as fini, ouais, on calcule.
Par exemple, le fait de faire une matrice creuse.
J'ai lâché le train, j'ai raccroché et
Mais là, on est sur le côté performance, parce
voilà,
que c'est pas prioritaire. En tout cas, dans les bullet points.
En fait, c'est que parce qu'aujourd'hui, on voit au bullet point, c'est ce qui nous amène là.
J'ai du mal à voir qu'est-ce que quand tu dis c'est un fait, c'est quoi? C'est vraiment ça marche pas du tout? Ça t'obligerait à faire un peu
non, mais c'est un problème d'ingénierie, c'est-à-dire qu'il faut gérer tous les cas. Donc là, heureusement, il y a des cas, il y a des tests fonctionnels. Voilà, là, en ce moment, on va faire une simplification. Et il faut trouver comment faire pour gérer tous les cas. En fait. Parce que tu vois, il y a actuellement, pour rester compatible, les solveurs linéaires créent automatiquement un composant de linear system. Que les anciennes scènes fonctionnent toujours. En vrai, il faudrait créer un système linéaire et un solver.
Il y a un warning d'ailleurs. Il y a un warning qui dit qu'il faut le faire. Voilà. Parce que ça, du coup, est-ce que ça résoudrait non, parce que ça veut dire que tu aurais 3 linéaires solvers et un linéaire système.
Bah non, justement, parce que chacun a besoin de sa matrice. Par exemple, les warp préconditionnaires, ils ont besoin d'assembler une matrice de même, tu vois, de rotation. Donc, ils ont chacun besoin de leur matrice. Et du coup, tu as 3 linéaires systèmes qui se créent comme ça. Et je ne sais plus exactement les détails de pourquoi ça merde, mais ça merdait un petit peu, tu vois, parce qu'il y avait trop de choses différentes. Tu gères 6 composants finalement.
Une chose. Alors, pour faire deux choses, l'assemblage et la résolution.
Maintenant, oui.
Ouais, est-ce que c'est aussi parce que c'est nécessaire de creuser un peu encore, ou est-ce que c'est vraiment
ouais, c'est ça.
Non,
mais il n'y a pas de bloqueur.
Ok, ouais.
Je suis bloqué parce que j'avais pas envie de tartiner. J'ai déjà avancé dessus. Je sais que c'est possible donc ça marche. J'ai déjà fait marcher quelques scènes. Maintenant, il faut que tout marche. C'est ça. Il faut juste pas passer tout le temps.
Après, et le feedback en naming, et ça, tu penses qu'on pense s'y prendre comment pour le faire?
Ça, je pense que c'est au moment où c'est dans master, faut sur la liste SOFA Dev, sur le GitHub, discussion, etc. Dire un nouveau truc a été mergé, les feedbacks, il faut les faire, de faire. Je pense, enfin, je sais pas. Après, plus que ça, il y a aussi des gens qui vont de toute façon manger. Il y a des gens qui vont se manger dès que ça va être mergé, parce qu'ils se mettent souvent à jour et qui nous font des remarques rapidement. C'est le cas d'Adrien. Adrien, c'est des arts et ingénieurs. Ils mettent à jour en fait, assez régulièrement. Et donc, en fait, on a les retours assez rapidement. Donc, ça, on peut les avoir à tôt.
On peut faire. Du coup, on fait comme ça. Parce que sinon, la PR, elle va être pending pendant stalling.
Et attends, du coup, là, la PR dont tu parles, elle est à quel niveau? Parce que tu vois, là, il y a plein de sujets. Il y a la compatibilité layer. Est-ce que ça vient avant le fixe des préconditionneurs? Est-ce que ça vient avant aussi?
En fait, là, dans l'état initial, à part les préconditionneurs, tous les tests passent. Mais ça ne veut pas dire que tout est bon, quoi, en fait. Donc je sais pas. Je pourrais te dire,
Ouais, moi, ce que j'aurais tendance à voir là, c'est que je me dis, bon, clairement, quitte à faire, autant évaluer la compatibilité layer d'abord, parce que quitte à filer avec, autant le mettre d'abord. Derrière,
ça me prend une semaine, c'est bon.
voilà, derrière les préconditionneurs, à regarder, voir combien de temps ça prend aussi. Et derrière, par contre, là, s'arrêter et clairement pas faire l'unifize des API, parce que ça sert à rien de le faire dès le début. Apply la new API de SOFA, bah pareil, si elle est on peut très bien se permettre de le faire au fil de l'eau. Et en plus, on traitera les, enfin, ce sera facile à traiter avec des warnings qui sont émis à la copie. Ça suffira de les identifier, etc. Donc, c'est pas trop un souci. Alors là, moi, là, tu vois, si à remettre dans l'ordre, faire un track, ça, le merge, ensuite, que ce soit unifying, applying la new API, et là, je vais mettre ça là d'abord, unifying, avoir les feedbacks et les file voilà, déjà, tout ça, là, ça paraît. Si tout ça est fait, ça paraît déjà vachement, tu vois, que c'est bien finalisé pour la prochaine release, ça sera top. Et c'est là où moi j'aurais bien, en gros, c'est là où je me dis, tiens, peut-être les first steps of modularization, machin truc, mais là, ne serait-ce qu'en, je l'ai écrit pour le garder en tête, modularization, quoi, c'était quoi, constraint resolution. Mais ça, honnêtement, ça paraît faisable.
Là, il faut, je veux pas passer 6 mois sur l'assemblage de matrices alors que c'est quasiment fini. Enfin, c'est quasiment fini. Je sais que c'est pas fini.
Ouais, voilà, c'est ça.
Je sais que, voilà, il faut finir le projet. Mais
parlez-moi avec ça. Je sais, mais oui, je sais. Non, mais je suis d'accord. Ok.
Il y a un moment où je vais devoir faire pour ma santé mentale.
Mais ça serait en plus le dernier point, c'est
difficile de. Ce ne serait pas la première fois qu'on se fait un truc qui est poussé. Et puis,
mais il faut, de toute façon, il faut prendre le risque.
Oui,
sinon,
on a poussé plutôt 3, on a vu qu'après il y a des petites vagues derrière.
Voilà.
Non.
Derrière.
Réglette.
des ondes.
Après quoi, tu as dit sur 5G?
Non, avec
c'est rock stable, c'est toi que c'est le morceau.
Quel truc?
Ça va plutôt pas.
Ah oui. Ok. Depuis que j'utilise, j'arrête pas de faire des paires dedans.
Ouais, c'est un peu. Je pense que c'est un peu inévitable, il faut pousser un peu le truc. Là en plus, c'est relativement smooth vu que c'est pas dans la PA. Normalement, l'idée c'était de pousser sur la release de juin et finalement c'est poussé à.
Ouais.
Mais ça, c'est un truc sur lequel on essaie d'insister de plus en plus. La branche master, c'est une branche de dev qui est testée, stabilisée, etc. dans le sens où ça compile. Et il y a les tests et tout qui tournent, mais enfin, si les gens se plaignent parce que ça casse leur plugin, bah, ils rentrent chez eux. Enfin, non mais
On attend sur la branche.
ouais, voilà, non, mais évidemment, voilà, c'est ça. C'est soit ils veulent lire un changelog qui a été tout préparé pour eux, et dans ce cas-là, c'est des versions stables. Soit, et tu vois, donc c'est pour ça que je pense d'autant plus du fait qu'il y ait des efforts sur le changelog, les releases et tout ça, qu'on peut se permettre de faire ça. Alors, j'espère que pour pas cette release là, mais pour celle de décembre, on arrivera à faire quelque chose de décent et sans Guillaume, mais voilà. Et je pense qu'on peut aussi se permettre de faire autant de se mettre des choses, et parfois possiblement cassantes aussi, parce que on sait qu'Alex n'est pas sur une fin de contrat en novembre. Il y a certains trucs où tu dis, ouais, mais tu sais, voilà, tu es sur une fin de projet, par exemple, on ne se lancerait pas dans le développement sur DeepPhysX d'un truc énorme si on était sans certitude que tu puisses continuer derrière. Là, je pense que on peut se permettre d'être peut-être un peu plus aventureux et un peu plus au large, comme on dit, olé olé, quoi, plutôt.
Ouais.
Tu aimes bien mon espagnol? Perfect.
Est-ce qu'on peut passer à la review de tout ça?
Ouais,
Est-ce que pour les la modularisation des contraintes, on essaye d'aller plus loin, ou on met juste un petit truc
Pour moi, enfin,
non clair,
Ouais, c'est
générique.
un des points à regarder.
on peut donner encore un petit peu de temps.
Il y avait l'histoire des matrices, comme tu as traité dessus.
Ah, les sparses, les masses,
C'est bon. Je sais pas, pour moi, les histoires des objectifs. Il y avait
mais à ce sujet, du coup, ça veut dire qu'il faut que je regarde, j'aimerais bien regarder aussi ce qu'a fait Arsenal, parce que sur eux, ils ont changé aussi, ils ont fait ces changements-là. Donc,
ça vaut le coup de.
peut-être qu'il y a juste à prendre du code chez eux.
En tout cas, moi je dirais, si tu voulais un peu mettre un sous-bullet point là-dessus, je dirais. Le premier truc serait de regarder
Les formats de matrice, des contraintes. Bah, tu peux, ça peut être carrément avoir.
Et après, pour moi, une fois qu'on aura après, dans la résolution, je pense que ça serait bien de. J'ai l'impression qu'aujourd'hui, il y a plein de contraintes qui pourraient être unifiées. Et elles ne sont pas parce que. En fait, tu as l'histoire des. Il y avait un truc qui était très pratique là dans le Ghost Sider. C'était le foncteur qui va dire demander à la contrainte comment elle se résout. Donc ça, c'était assez pratique. Mais du coup, ça a obligé à ce qu'on ait qu'un seul sur le Ghost Sider. Et je pense qu'il y a, pour utiliser d'autres solvers, notamment les solvers directement, il faudrait qu'on ait mieux unifié en fait toutes les contraintes.
Les types de contraintes.
Donc les contraintes, toutes les contraintes en fait, par exemple unilatérales, enfin au moins toutes les contraintes bilatérales. En fait, il faudrait qu'un solveur quelconque puisse savoir que tout cet ensemble-là, c'est une contrainte bilatérale. Et en fait, on a fait un peu ça, on a été obligé de faire ça dans le plugin Software Winners, parce que pour le coup, le QP, il n'y a pas de possibilité de mettre un contrainte résolution. Donc j'ai de dire, j'ai des contraintes de type action. Et en fait, on a dit, il y a une partie des contraintes qui sont plutôt des choses à minimiser. Et puis, il y a des sensors aussi. En fait, on a utilisé un vocabulaire très soft. En fait, quand tu regardes le truc précisément, en fait, c'est.
Ah, ok. Ça paraît pas du tout impossible, tu vois, via des systèmes de.
Ouais, je pense qu'on peut encore mieux unifier ça, en fait.
Pardon ?
On peut mieux unifier ça, en fait. Pour moi, ce serait le deuxième truc. Mais ça demande quand même beaucoup plus de réflexion.
Ouais.
C'est les deux points.
Là, effectivement, je me pose souvent mal aussi.
Pour moi, c'est pas à mettre dans les réalistiques objectifs.
C'est ça.
Et par contre, dans les discussions, je sais pas après de ce que vous voulez mettre dans les discussions, mais pour moi, dans les discussions à mener, peut-être dans les 6 mois, on commence à réfléchir à
préparer le terrain.
Après, franchement, ça peut être une réalistique task de juste réfléchir à.
Ouais, mais d'un point de vue communication, sur le changelog, la roadmap, je sais pas si c'est.
Non, mais tu vois, ce que ça veut dire, c'est qu'on pourra, si on lit ça l'année dans 6 mois, pardon, on pourra se dire, bon, est-ce qu'on a déjà, est-ce qu'on a regardé ce truc-là, est-ce que vous avez trouvé des solutions à comment unifier, machin? La réponse est, non, on n'a pas eu le temps de regarder, ou oui, on a regardé, mais pour l'instant, c'est pas clair. Bon, bah, voilà, c'est. Et en plus, si ça c'est pas clair, en fait, c'est-à-dire que ça sera en fait toujours la tâche de la roadmap, enfin, ça sera le début de la roadmap.
Ouais. Ok.
Il y a Batman qui est en train de. Tu te vois, je souris, non, tu te vois pas.
Non, moi,
Ils te voient en question durée, mais nous on te voit avec ta cape et ton masque.
moi, je vois Ego Tableau, mais pourquoi je sais pas. Pourtant, je suis
T'es pas logged in. Je crois qu'il faut cliquer sur le petit chat, la show chat, et puis ça te
mais
log.
c'est qui la loutre? Je suis logué. Il y a une loutre.
Il y a le loutre, c'est toi.
C'est moi, la loutre.
Ah ouais. C'est moi.
Ah non, toi, aussi, t'es logué. Il y a Guillaume qui est logué.
Ok, ok.
Terminado.
Je pense. C'est toi qui a mis un mot sur. Qu'est-ce qui a mis un mot sur G8? C'est toi, Guillaume? C'est.
J'ai mis communiquer promote.
Ah, c'est toi, c'est toi.
Alors moi, ce que j'aimerais bien dans la GUI, c'est que toi, par exemple, déjà, tu l'utilises le plus rapidement possible parce qu'il n'y a pas juste des bugs, mais aussi des problèmes de comportement peut-être à détecter. Il y a un truc ça va pas.
Comportement déviant, tu veux dire?
Des problèmes d'UX, tu veux dire.
Ah, pardon, j'ai pas très bien.
Des quoi?
Des problèmes d'UX, tu veux dire.
Ouais, voilà, exactement. Et ça, il faudra.
Il parle plus.
Il faut qu'on a
Il y a pas
tu peux utiliser vite
Excel
fait.
glace,
Pourquoi tu peux ajouter vite fait qui peut être intéressant, c'est le cours sur comment créer pour ne partir quelque part où si on veut générer des binaires. Vite fait.
On pourrait faire, le jour où on fait le pot de départ de Guillaume, on fait une formation aux générations de binaires aussi en même temps.
Le pot de départ le plus chiant.
Ouais. Ah, mais on n'a pas eu le temps, ça finit trop tard.
Il y a du Pulco aussi.
C'est pas, c'est
Je sais pas si ça doit figurer à la roadmap. Tout, que c'est,
Mais,
tu vois, ça fait partie du paquet de tout. Donc dans tout cas,
mais par contre, tu as raison, c'est un truc. Et
mais
il y a un certain nombre de choses où ça serait bien que soit on record, soit on fasse les sessions, pas que moi et Guillaume. Parce que sinon, je vais être le all-knowing, mais all-knowing pendant 2 jours, et en fait, j'aurai tout oublié 2 jours après. Et, en fait, on sera fucked up. Ce qui est un peu la suite du all-knowing. Attends, qu'est-ce qui est? Vous me rajoutez des trucs là? Ah oui. C'est ça, extrêmement? Ouais, t'as raison, mais t'as raison. Ah non, il faut le mettre ici. C'est. Oh là, pardon.
C'est moi.
Et ouais, donc clairement, faut c'est passé. Alors en plus, ouais, ça va avec.
Par contre,
ça va avec un truc que voulait faire Fred, là, d'arriver à vraiment bien pluginiser les GUI.
il y a un truc, c'est que IMGUI aujourd'hui, il est fetché. Il est pas shippé avec. Ce qu'on avait dit, c'est qu'on ne voulait pas dépendre d'Internet pour faire la livre graphique.
Ouais,
non,
C'est toujours pareil, c'est donc shipper IMGUI ou alors en sorte de module.
Et là, on va bien
shipper dans
Shipper dans SOFA. Si on met le plugin dans SOFA. Ah, on ne le met pas dans SOFA en fait. On le met en fait.
Ouais, pour l'instant, c'est en première étape, c'est de le fetch dans le plugin de SOFA.
Ok.
Après, moi, franchement, on peut le mettre au cœur de SOFA.
Mais parce que si on le fait par défaut, comment ça marche?
et Oasis,
On met par défaut, on est obligé de le compiler et de le fetcher. Donc la GUI par défaut sera faite sur.
ouais, je suis d'accord, c'est la
Dans SOFA.
Ok. Et les forces, apparemment,
On a bien fait de discuter. Hein.
Mais dans ce cas-là, il y a le pire qui pose le problème de la dépendance à
Soleil de Porto.
IMGUI. Ça te fait chier. Aussi. Parce qu'on la ship avec.
Non, mais après, je suis
Tu dis, GUI, c'est quoi?
Mais c'est une DeepPhysX. qui n'a pas de dépendance elle. Par contre, on utilise des plugins qui eux ont des dépendances sous certains systèmes. Donc le truc le plus chiant, c'est avoir le navigateur de fichiers natif. Et si on n'a pas de navigateur de fichiers.
T'as raison, là, c'est le problème.
Il n'y a pas déjà eu.
Il n'y a pas de problème. Je crois que j'ai résolu ce sujet de retard.
Si on revient en arrière, c'est quoi le problème finalement sur
Non, parce que ce que disait Alex, c'était qu'en gros, c'était un peu bizarre de dire que j'ai eu par défaut les
Voilà, c'est pas sur de l'analyse.
pas SOFA Python 3, c'est ça.
réfléchis un peu plus
SOFA, ce sera juste un cycle.
Je dis juste que c'est différent de ce qu'on a actuellement. Donc, est-ce que c'est
Ça, c'est la fusion qu'ils ont. C'est les dernières infos qu'ils ont. Et là, ils sont en train d'envoyer des mails pour dire ouais, il faudrait vraiment ressentir.
On a une
de toute façon,
Commencer l'intégration sur la plateforme. Il faut qu'il y ait potentiellement.
Ah ouais, en binaire. Oui, en binaire, je pense que ça c'est. Faut que tout soit shippé, non, mais par contre, moi je pense à la compilation.
au code, ouais, au code source.
C'est juste de la
le code,
Parce que là, oui, c'est vrai que c'est AMD est publié de façon statique.
parler avec nous. Bon, ce qu'ils mettent.
Donc, on récupère le code source.
Enfin bref.
C'est un fetch qui fetch, c'est ça.
Sur le plan.
Là, c'est pas encore un fetch, mais ce sera un fetch qui fetch.
Et si on fetch, parce que sinon on peut le mettre aussi dans SOFA, c'est ce que tu disais, on peut le mettre
On
dans
peut le mettre dans ce
qui est un seul fetch.
un qu'un seul fetch, voilà.
Mais le problème, c'est que ça rejoint.
Mais il faut
tout le temps les faire.
On peut faire ça. La simulation.
Tu peux me rappeler qui
GFW, c'est le framework qui lance une fenêtre OpenGL. Et AMD, sur ça, de toute façon, limite, on peut se dire faire un truc.
Ah oui, non, mais de toute façon,
Et
on va faire plus que ça. Et c'est ça.
Non, mais ce que tu dis, bah, ce que tu dis, c'est.
Non, mais il n'y a rien qui change. Il n'y a rien qui change. C'est juste l'appel, la création de conteneur.
Je veux dire, si après les autres
Ouais, c'est comme
c'est
comme SDL.
les sorties de la simulation, c'est la même chose. Genre les
SDL.
Mais GFW, c'est vraiment le truc le plus utilisé actuellement.
Après, ça reste la même simulation, donc je suis d'accord. Je sais que
Donc sur la vie, sur ING, directement dans les sous-lignes, c'est là. Et qui lui fetch.
Ouais, mais je sais qu'on a des tics.
oui, en soi, je peux
Pas dépendant interne.
faire ça.
Moi, ça me dérange pas. Personnellement, ouais, exactement. Moi, ça me dérange absolument pas de dépendant interne.
Mais attends, mais c'est sûr que
Je prends pas si souvent le train de compilant.
Mais oui, c'est ça, c'est que de toute façon, si c'est le truc activé par défaut dans SOFA, c'est que tu es déjà sur Internet, parce que tu viens de faire Je pense que ce truc-là s'applique.
Mais du coup, c'est eux qui sont censés.
Pour moi, cet argument-là, quand il s'agit de définir ce guide module vraiment optionnel, quelqu'un peut activer tout d'un coup. Et là, du coup, ça fait un peu chier parce que tu te dis, ah bah, en fait, finalement, je l'ai pas, mais j'ai SOFA, j'ai déjà tout. Et tout d'un coup, je l'active et je suis quête parce que là, on a un truc où tu dis, c'est au moment où tu chopes SOFA, tu as ce truc-là qui vient avec.
Mais même dans ce cas-là,
C'est pas au moment où tu chopes SOFA.
Non, c'est le moment où tu compiles. Voilà, mais bon, je veux dire, si tu viens de choper SOFA, après, oui, c'est que.
Bah, c'est ça son cas d'utilisation qu'il a fait.
En fait, je dirais que c'est pas une histoire de lâcher.
C'est ce que c'est quand il a dû le faire, ça a été chercher des trucs en ligne.
Ah ouais.
C'est vraiment.
Ouais, ça tient un peu la roue. Ça
Ça
s'entend, mais. Non, donc, ok. Allez, hop.
ok.
Faites votre config.
Non, mais par contre, ça repose quand même, parce que j'ai l'impression que on n'est pas en train de poser la question. Enfin, on se pose pas la question, c'est est-ce qu'on fetch ou est-ce qu'on met dans SOFA? Et en fait, on a le même sujet pour Python 3. On a Python 3 qui est à côté, alors qu'en fait, putain, enfin, il est en réalité. il est au cœur de solution. Peut-être pas au cœur, mais
Le rôle de la simulation.
Les gens sont
et on le garde à côté pour l'instant. Que ça soit. En gros, ça, on ne se rend pas
parce qu'il est pas assez mature.
Ouais.
Moi, ça me semble que c'est mal. Même moi, c'est quelque chose.
Et que vous changez d'avis, si effectivement ils ont besoin de sorties nouvelles sur
inclus dans les sources.
et après ils définissent avec les yeux de dépendance, donc c'est une qualification de pouvoir ensemble. Donc éventuellement, s'ils ont besoin de revenir vers toi, ils sont très précis.
Il faut qu'il est fait, tu vois. Moi, je suis d'accord.
Ouais, là, c'est ce qu'ils sont en train de faire, c'est pour ça que
Voilà.
Je vais le faire.
Ouais, je veux juste qu'on puisse tirer.
J'en parlais avec Mathéo.
Ouais, j'ai rajouté.
Tu peux
tirer sur le sapin.
Exactement.
Non, j'ai mis des interactions.
Non, t'as raison.
Mais par contre, je sais pas qui c'est. Je suis pas très à l'aise avec ces trucs-là, interacteurs. Là, je suis le référent. Mais justement, j'ai une baguette que je dis, toi, s'il te plaît, fais des interactions.
Non, mais moi, je
pour la fatigue, on est
je pense que
C'est des.
Mais ça, c'est surtout
ces trucs-là qui créent des points à la volée.
On peut passer tu mets à jour le slide
c'est ça, c'est un peu plus.
passer à la slide
Non, on n'aura pas suite. À part peut-être.
On va dire. Allez, on va pas dormir. Hein. Ok, 22, 12.
t'es pas à jour, je vais être à jour.
Comment? Ah, j'ai pas à jour.
J'ai un peu, ça change pas grand-chose.
Ah.
Ça, en gros, de toute façon,
Step 1 out of 3, select potential projects. Ça, c'était.
il est 14h, c'est ça.
It's 2 o'clock on my watch.
Et là, c'est bon, vas-y, ça c'est fait.
Alright. Donc, ça, c'est ce qu'on a sélectionné tout à l'heure.
Ça, c'est bon.
Ça, c'est fait aussi.
Ça, on vient de
2 out of 3, c'est les listés. Et du coup, review and finalize.
Voilà, il faut juste dire on est bon,
Ah ouais, sauf ANG.
choix, et puis voilà.
Sauf ANG, j'avoue, j'ai pas tapé dedans, j'ai pas fait le.
Ouais, ça c'est straightforward, pareil, Fred a fait le tout.
Ah, donc c'est bon, c'est bon. Il a envie d'aller boire un coup.
il y a deux mecs du consortium qui sont bons, mais c'est straightforward.
C'est straightforward, t'inquiète.
On sera pas capable.
Ouais, tu as créé.
Un référent, donc
Tu avais pas créé le template pour SOFA NG?
On sera du temps
Comment?
Tu n'avais pas créé le template, je vois pas le template sur SOFA NG.
C'est trop straightforward.
C'est tellement d'évidence qu'il reste à faire.
Qu'est-ce qu'on avait dit à part support de users? J'avais dit un truc avant. Ouais,
Bah,
SOFA NG.
Ils installent. Là.
Oui, de toute façon, on s'est
Et il y a tout ce qu'a dit Fred.
Et donc,
S'assurer que c'est qu'il a fait.
Ouais, voilà, ouais, je pense que c'était la doc, le bullet point auquel je pensais peut-être la doc.
pour moi, l'essentiel de la simulation, c'est
La doc de Fred, c'est vraiment le gros truc qui reste à.
je pense qu'il faudrait
Ouais, c'est pas ça.
Hop la doc, tiens.
Moi, j'aimerais bien les ballon points.
Donc tu veux des bullet points? On va t'en donner pas.
Ok. Ça pas me préparer.
Et d'autant plus si c'est ça qui.
Cosra, c'est bon pour le.
SOFA GUI, ce sera demain.
Ah non, mais de toute
Ouais,
façon,
avec,
je ne vais pas me lancer dans un.
Cosra et
Si on a filé.
Matrix Assembly, on vous a quand même. On a bien bossé.
Du coup, question de résolution.
Ouais, c'est avec.
C'est ensemble avec Matrix Assembly. Même si c'est pas vraiment.
Et c'est différenciable les deux trucs.
Ah, tu verras ce que la simulation est différente.
Là, dans le document, si je regarde, il ne faut pas de différence. Ah, si, là. Ok, c'est le dernier point.
C'est le dernier
En fait, je pense que ça fait une transition, tu vois, la prochaine fois, c'est le prochain STC, on sera sur le sujet.
Ouais, c'est très bien.
L'avantage disait que le modèle homogène qu'on va utiliser, mais avec ça,
C'est bien ça.
C'est-à-dire que ça fait partie du premier bullet point du
On ne
test.
pourra jamais avoir des données matérielles qui vont permettre de se homogène. Là, on a une fatigue particulière.
Ouais, non, mais il faut vraiment que
Et
tu.
pour moi, ce que ça veut dire, c'est que
Comment ça
fatigue,
s'utilise.
c'est
Ah, parce que.
local.
Ouais, parce que.
Écrit par un
Il y a juste Fred et moi.
Non, mais tu rigoles, mais moi je suis super chaud.
Et Stéphane, il a essayé, ça ne marchait pas. Et alors, je sais pas. C'est pas. Bon, je suis investi.
Ah, donc en fait, tu veux que j'arrive et je me prenne la voiture de Stéphane en plein dans le nez en mode.
C'est
va,
C'est qu'un plugin, arrête.
Non, mais bien sûr.
modèle order réduction. Il y a des points.
Ouais,
En fait,
c'est good.
Oui,
c'est
oui,
ça, pour moi,
Tu t'es entretenu avec toi-même,
c'est moi qui
te dis
Je n'ai pas été trop ambitieux.
C'est très bien.
Bah, je suis réaliste.
Ouais, c'est très bien.
On ne peut pas non plus dire, on va faire soit de faire une simulation.
J'ai eu, du coup, on en a parlé, et, et puis le dernier point, ça c'est vraiment...
Et le dernier point, il faut que ce soit le dernier point, c'est toujours voté par les membres. Et le vote complémentaire aussi à venir.
Comme on a dit, on refera tourner le vote pour tout le monde, et puis ce qu'on voulait faire, c'était derrière un résumé de et le vote des partenaires et le vote de la communauté. Et puis essayer de pondérer l'un avec l'autre.
Et même ce qu'on avait dit, c'est que l'objectif pour la 21, la 22 de ce truc-là, ce serait sur 10 ans le temps pour le faire et démarrer juste ce sera vraiment les prémices.
Oui, c'est ça. C'est un recrutement qu'on veut faire, comme vient exactement de dire Guillaume, c'est de toute façon ce sujet, on sait qu'il ne va pas pouvoir avancer énormément dans les prochains mois, surtout qu'il y a des techniques. Voilà. Mais ça, on a une liste de sujets, c'est intéressant aussi du coup d'avoir ton retour sur les sujets.
Tu nous as envoyé une conversation.
Attends, si, genre, pas membre contractuel, mais contributeur.
Je suis donateur de code.
Voilà, non, mais c'est vrai. C'est apprécié par AMV, ça fait ouais. C'est pour ça que je t'avais demandé les chiffres, etc. Je leur ai transmis, c'était vraiment, c'était bien noté. What's next on the agenda? So I'm switching for the last hours for you, Vlad. And I don't know. I don't
2
think.
hours left, and then we can lose.
And I'm not sure Jorg is still online, but for the rest of the 2 days, it's actually 1.5 days because it's going to be only Wednesday morning. But yeah, coding sprint and technical discussions. Really, do not. Let's go
We can
together.
switch to next slide.
Okay. There. Okay, thanks. Perfect. So that's it should be more or less up to date, right?
I moved everything.
You what?
I moved the stuff.
Okay.
All the stuff with question marks, I put it on the table 2 because we're not sure who do it. I guess that's why there was some question marks.
But did
Everything that is sure is on table 1, and the others on table 2. I don't know.
Did you remove topics or
no?
No. Okay. You just moved things.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is topics here of interest of some of us that we put in the documentation. This one can be edited by anyone. So if you want to have one specific topic addressed, just add it.
If you want to do some of the ones with question marks, remove the question mark.
Error ending matrices.
I don't know.
This is more.
C'est toi qui as écrit matrices?
Yes.
Okay, maybe matrices.
Yeah, but it was to talk about the way or about the new API and the names,
Okay.
etc. But if nobody wants,
I mean, we already did it together. So.
Yeah, but there are more people tomorrow or online.
There would be others tomorrow, like Damien, Flavie, I know, but online, I'm not sure. Tomorrow, we announced like first day of streaming, and not the other days for.
Okay, so we change.
Okay, and but yeah, so for sure, at least there is people interested in deprecation mechanism. If you don't know what it is, you'll know that tomorrow morning. And documentation, it's not like making doc, it's how to actually get a centralized doc to avoid having the markdown, the doc in the code, the doc on the data, basically to have things as light as possible and as best as possible, because the less, the better we will have. GUI, we have 2 slots. yeah, here we could actually test and start using our moving.
Okay.
At least at this point, it's not my. I don't think I did that, but.
Maybe Stefan, you can join us at that time because you have also trouble to.
Meta components, update of components. Maybe I don't know who would be interested in meta components, but for sure, so I would be interested in updates of components. So it was what I think Fred mentioned before. Sorry.
Box constraints.
Yeah, for instance, yeah. Box strings for field. I don't know exactly. Maybe it should maybe be put in the morning so that Fred can actually be part of it. And it's it's not going to take quite a long time. So even if we put that, could be. Yeah. Okay. So and again, if there is other topics to be addressed, you can add it.
Does GUI need 2 slots? It's 1 hour and a half.
So the second slot would be to soft robotics UI?
Or just to be sure we have 3 hours discussion around GUI engineering.
If it's only for I am agree, not enough.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and there was also there was kind of sorry. Attends.
I have to do this before.
Hop là.
Just stay in.
Okay. Yeah, and yeah, there was also something else here. I put that in this slot, but oh no, I'm supposed to go in the document. Where is that? It was also the topic of recruiting new engineers that I think would be nice to discuss together. Oui, pardon.
C'était le mercredi, tu as mis ça.
Bah ça c'est whenever you. It's that's the first day or. Oh, okay, sorry. Tag and. Okay. Yeah, would be nice. Maybe on Wednesday could be a nice topic to address. And again, I mean, since not everyone might be interested in those two, release management and consortium engineers, not hesitate to put additional topics in parallel, so that we can make other tables.